welcome to the show. This is the Cult of Conspiracy, and I am the Cajun Knight, flying solo, but kind of not so flying solo-ish, because back from a long absence here, the man's been thriving in his own regard, shaping the world of the metaverse, whether it's esotericism, whether it's mysticism, whether it's ancient and forbidden text, whatever you want. My man, my brother here, has been out there beating the streets and putting out the word. Jonathan, welcome back, brother.
Yo, yo, yo. It is good to be back on the cult there, good cult members. It has been a little while, and to be honest, I've actually grown to miss it a lot. Because, you know, a lot of what I talk about is not necessarily a laughing matter. You know, like we try and be a little bit more serious, a little bit more punctual, a little bit more, you know, endearing even, right? On Meta, because my entire goal of that show is I want to understand the world that we live in, and not through strictly physical means. I want to understand it through every kind of means. Is it a simulation? Is it a matrix? I actually still stand on the opinion that we're living in a dream. And it was so funny earlier. I made a video on TikTok. It was my only pretty viral video that I've ever made for TikTok anyway. TikTok hates me. I don't know why, but that video really liked me.
Fucking same. TikTok is not our jam. Instagram does way better than TikTok for us, but that's also because we're for adults, and TikTok seems to be mostly for a certain demographic under 30. Continue, sir.
Yeah. So, my only viral TikTok that I've ever made was on the idea of pantheism, which is basically everything is God. There's no such thing as any kind of separation. The microphone that I'm speaking into, our bodies, the chair, you, me, there is no separation. It's all one giant thing, and it's all living. And dude, it went like crazy, right? And I actually believe that to a point in the idea of pantheism. I think it goes farther beyond that, which some people might mention the term panentheism. It's panentheism, which it says that essentially, yes, all is God, but God also exists outside of all that is God, which is kind of a clusterfuck of an idea, but I kind of dig it. So anyway, somebody left a comment on it earlier, and I really wanted to make a side tangent video on it. And they were like, look, I'm not even trying to throw shade. I actually really like this idea, but can you explain to me how creation is possible in this scenario? And I believe that you can actually weave creation into that scenario as well by...
Oh, sure. There's a million avenues, actually, at that point.
Of course. I mean, you're talking about, like, if God...
Basically, all the pantheons of all of the religions all are equally valid. So it's like there could have been a consortium at that point.
Yeah. I mean, look, if God exists outside of our dimension and outside of even all dimensions, then whatever is created inside the dimension with time is always going to look like there's a start and an end, right? So there would have to be a beginning, i.e. the creation, right? If you're looking at it from a timeline perspective. But that being said, my idea behind that whole thing is I like to try and reverse engineer ideas. And the way I like to look at that is if I feel like we're looking at creation the wrong way. Like, we look at creation as if it was made in a day or in the blink of an eye or anything like that. I'm not saying that's wrong. I just like to, kind of balance different ideas here.
Sure.
And so my idea is that people think that, they dream about a beginning, a middle, an end, and we just look at everything very linear. But it's actually been proven that we don't necessarily, whenever you get into the metaphysics of it, we don't live in a linear timeline. That's just how we perceive reality. Like, a fourth dimensional being doesn't experience time the same way that we do. They actually experience time as a physical object. So if you were a being living in the fourth dimension on up, then what you would experience, if from a time perspective, is imagine you open up a book And that book is time itself. If you want to just look at it like this very skewed example, that book is time itself. So you would be able to look at day one of somebody's life and day, 5,000. I don't know how many days are in a person's life, but let's just say 5,000. You can look at day 5,000 and day one within the same instant, right? Because that is how time would exist in higher dimensions.
I've heard, and that's a fascinating theory, right? And I've heard another theory as far as how time might work on the next dimension. And I think I like your option better, to be honest with you. So the way it was described was essentially like us living on Earth, right? We're walking through air, but we don't acknowledge the air. And yes, the air can be a force in and of itself, like the wind in hurricanes and shit, but like it's not something that we think about or have to deal with as we are living our life. It's just kind of a thing that's around us. It's like you're saying, it's like an element, if you will. I've heard some say that time on the next dimension would be very similar to like a fish underwater. Like they're not acknowledging the water. It is a thing that they have to swim through, sure, but like that's not a part of their process. They've never known any different. Time on the fourth dimension would kind of be something that they think maybe could be something in wavelength, kind of like light does on our perspective. So like if that's the case and it moves in a wave, it makes more sense that it's something that we might think of like a fluid-like thing, like an air that we walk through or a water that the fish swim in. But for the same reason that you're saying, like time, we think of it on a linear table. We're thinking of it as point A to B. We're talking about it as if it's two-dimensional. Like there's a start point and an end point. If you go side tangent on any of that, you basically have to make polygons out of it at the very bare minimum. So it's like, I don't know. But I like your idea more, I think, because it's a lot easier to explain.
Yeah. I mean, and to be honest, I kind of like, if you're trying to put a shape to, how does time really go if it's not linear? I really love the idea, and maybe it's just because I'm a Marvel dork. I really love the idea of us existing in like on a Mobius strip. Right? Like it's almost like a figure eight looking figure. And I think that that's why there's cycles of everything. And I'm not even talking about like what is objectively going on in cycles such as, summer, fall, winter, spring, all that. I'm saying subjectively to the individual. And you know this probably as much as anybody else does, that if anybody that goes through a really tough time and they feel like maybe you didn't learn the entirety of what you needed to learn through that one thing, it's going to keep on repeating and keep on showing up in your daily life. And it's almost like a really annoying. Like it's one of those things where you're like, my God, I feel like I already did this. Why am I doing it over again? And I believe that that's because our consciousness is intertwined with this Mobius strip itself. So anyway, and where I was getting at with all that is that, I'm going to add one more thing.
Go for it.
So I recently just watched Interstellar again with Matthew McConaughey. Shout out. Fucking love that movie. And if you remember, whenever his spaceship was getting ready to explode because there wasn't enough oxygen or whatever, so he just dipped out and let the chick live on, right? Whenever he dipped out, he fell into a wormhole. And that was gonna, like, nobody knows what happens inside of a wormhole, right? It's all like, there's no proof of anything. I mean, there's mathematics that maybe suggest a thing or two, but nobody knows. And so whenever he fell into a wormhole, as he was falling into a wormhole, he fell into a fucking tesseract, right? Like, which is a fourth dimensional object. And within that fourth dimensional object, he was able to, all within 10 minutes, see the stages of his life and his daughter's life. And he was able to go to like, oh, this is 5 years from now. I'll be able to get a message out to her right now. And it's all happening right now to somebody in the fourth dimension, right? But... And that's why everybody says that time is, it's a construct. It's not really a real thing, because just because it's a perceived real thing in the third dimension doesn't mean that, what's true in one dimension doesn't necessarily mean that it's true in every dimension, kind of thing.
I gotcha.
So anyway, long story long, why I thought that it was interesting about the idea of creation in general was because I said, well, she was really curious about like, how does creation fit into the idea of pantheism? And I said, well, whenever you go to sleep at night, who created that scene that you're existing in that dream, right? Like, and this is why I always like to say that maybe we exist in a dream. Some people like to say simulation or matrix, but I think that it's more mental. And I really, you know, I vibe with Hermeticism a lot. And the first law of Hermeticism is that all is mind, that there's nothing outside of the mind of whatever, God, the universe, you know, the source, whatever you want to call it. And I really love that idea because if all is mind, the mind, there's not a mind in the universe that doesn't sleep and that doesn't dream. You ever notice, like, even your dog, whenever, I mean, you have dreamed before. It's just that you don't dream often, right?
Right.
Like, you ever even, like, you have a fucking gargantuan dog.
I do.
You ever see her, like, dreaming and she's kicking or maybe she's making a little noises and shit like that?
All the time.
It's like, even dogs have minds. I would imagine insects have dreams, right? Like in all of these kinds of things. And if everything is all mental, if everything's the mind, then why wouldn't it be more similar to a dream than a simulation?
Dude, I was just looking in, and this ties in weirdly enough. So Socrates, do you know how he died? I didn't either. I just, you know, I knew what he contributed. I knew who his protege was and who his mentor was.
Was he one that drank the mercury?
No. This is way before that. That was well, there's a bunch of them actually, but no. He died for suggesting what later Plutarch would call the One. Socrates was suggesting it, and he was killed by the pagans, the Greek pagans that were worshiping the, you know, Zeus and Poseidon and all that, for being a heretic. And what they use the term basically meaning he was like spreading incendiary thoughts that the gods aren't real and shit. They were so pissed off about it, they literally killed Socrates over it. I just found that out.
That's not that much of a shocker. But yeah, that idea of the One comes from Pluto, not Plutarch.
I thought Pluto started it, and then Plutarch in the 1st century took it and ran with it.
Well, it was Pluto and then Plotinus.
I'm sorry, Plotinus, not Plutarch. My bad.
Yeah, Plotinus is where Neoplatonism comes from.
Yeah, I got my Pleos mixed up.
Damn, look at me. I feel kind of smart for correcting you. Usually I'm the fucking idiot here, dude. What's going on?
Hey, but you've been out there studying. You've been out there reading the literature and shit. So, I mean, you're a source at this point.
I try to be. I try to be a valid source. And honestly, like, because there's a lot of bullshitters out there, and I never say that I'm a teacher about any of this kind of stuff. I'm a student with the rest of with the rest of everybody that decides to listen in. Yeah. The only people that I have problems with are the people that say, dude, all right, we have a topic and we are going to get to it, I promise, but it's been a long time since we got behind the mic together, so there's just some catching up. Oh, no, brother.
Even if we don't have a topic, if me and you just bullshit for the time, I'm down. So
we have to get to a topic. It's actually really good, and it's really pertinent to the time that we're living in right now. But so there was, I made maybe a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek video for Instagram a couple of weeks ago, and I kind of knew that it was going to ruffle some feathers, but you know, I walk around and I ruffle feathers. People look at me and I ruffle fucking feathers, so it's whatever at this point.
Who are you going after this time, brother?
So I made a video and I said one day and I'm not coming after you for this, so don't get
the Christians. Here we go.
I said one day the Christians are going to understand that the same way we reference the old Roman gods and the old Greek gods, the old Egyptian gods, and all the gods of godhood that have ever existed all throughout the years of humanity, one day Christianity, I believe, and I still hold this stance, will fall into the mythology categorization, right? And
yeah, you probably pissed some people off with that one.
Bro, I got this fucking guy, right? And he messaged me, and it was like the most like brutal to the point thing that I've ever received in my life. And he goes, the only thing that he commented on, he goes, yeah, and one day you're going to die and you're going to go to hell and you're going to exist in torture for eternity. And that he just dropped the fucking mic after that. So I said, no, you don't get the last call here. Okay.
That's a power stance.
Go down. That is a power stance. So I invited him on the show to debate, and he came. And
no
so
shit.
I fucking debated him, and I'm not gonna lie, like, to each their own. I
Did he seem well read?
Not really. So it wasn't really.
Right.
It wasn't really fair. But for somebody who is so sure that I'm gonna roast in hell for eternity, I feel like you should have backed your shit up a little bit more. Right? Like, and not just say it because somebody triggered you kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, this guy, unfortunately, he is still young on his journey with Christ and doesn't even know the majority of the stories. And so I let him have, I gave him the floor for like the first 20 or 30 minutes. I said, I just want to know about you. How did you come into this whole relationship with God and everything? It was a fun thing. But yeah, it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair. And
so you're still at it over there. Just beating the streets against Jesus. I'm fucking with you, dude. I'm fucking with you.
No, I actually love Jesus. Like, I've grown to really love the character of Jesus. I just believe I have different beliefs, and people are gonna, hate on me and maybe even turn off this episode because of it. I'm not trying to talk anybody out of anything. Look, I think that if something works for you, let it work for you. But you don't need to go around judging anybody else that doesn't believe what you believe, because I think deep down, the people that do get triggered whenever somebody else believes something different, it's because you don't have foundational roots in your beliefs to begin with. Like, I'm just going to be real with that. Like,
there's something to be said for that, for sure.
Like, why would it piss you off so much that somebody has a different belief? Like, why wouldn't you just be like, oh, I mean, hey, that sucks to be him. Just keep it to yourself, kind of thing.
Some of that comes from the way they're taught, dude. I told you, I have had family members before that like were taught that essentially if you're not preaching at people, you're not preaching. And that's the only way. And it's like, that's toxic. That's why so many people have a bad taste in their mouths about us in general. It's a fucking mess. And that's not out of fault of their own. That's how they've been taught. That's the church they've gone to their entire fucking life. They only know that way. And it's like, boy, at any given Sunday, just like try something new. Just swap it up.
Bro,
you know what I mean?
I mean, it's of my opinion that that's what created Satanism in the first place. I mean, you lit the fuse at the other end. Like, what did you expect other than demons and hellfire? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, which LaVey, this is the whole Satanism thing. That's another fucking.
Well, even before Anton LaVey, like there was always people who were in opposition to the religious movement. I mean, the Gnostics, the Cathars, and people like that before.
But even before that, dude, even Socrates, even the pagans had their ones that they were like, nah, bruh, if you don't acknowledge Zeus, you can't fucking live here. Like, we'll fucking torch you and shit. Like, that's crazy that's how they got down on it, too. That's not a Christian or a Muslim or a Jewish thing. That's everybody.
Look, I'll acknowledge all the gods. It's like fucking Elvis walked around with, like, he was like, yeah, I'm Jewish, I'm Muslim, and I'm Christian. And he goes, I have a pretty good chance of getting in heaven.
You're the dude at the Mummy, the first Mummy, Benny, who pulls out like 85 necklaces and just starts holding each religious thing until something bites. You're like, fuck it, all of it. Hell yeah, send the vibes.
Yeah, I'm pre-gay Russell Brand is really what I am. That's
dude, that's another one. A lot of people are throwing some serious shade at for his faith these days. And it's not necessarily that he has found faith. It is, I think, the hard transition from what he once was to what he claims to be now. And now there's allegations against him of some wild shit that he did back in these days. And it's like, yeah, God might forgive you, but you still might have to pay the toll in the human world because that's how this life works and shit. And it's, there's a group of them that I've noticed that there is some visceral daggers towards right now. Kat Von D is one. I just saw her on Jay Dyer, which, dude, Jay Dyer has also had his own fiasco of interfaith fights and debates that have been going on lately.
It's a smart guy.
Insane.
Yeah, whenever we had him on that one time, I was like, holy shit, that guy's awesome.
I
don't even believe everything that he believes. It's just that somebody who's so well read and understands it to a much deeper level, I fucking love people like that.
I do, but And I had a great time with him on the show that episode. I thought it was fun. He was very well versed. We didn't get into religious debate because I didn't realize that he was one of the Ortho Bros. So he and a bunch of other Orthodox content creators, right? Eastern Orthodox Christians, they have gotten together and started like basically the debate me or you're gay, bro, like tactics against actual biblical scholars of differing faiths and beliefs, basically to try to catch them in gotcha moments of debate jargon when it's like, wait, hold on. Fundamentally, we're believing the same thing. You have extra rules on yours, but like we don't think that you're, and by we, I mean like the rest of the non-Orthodox church. It's like, we don't think that you're going to hell. We think it's crazy that you think we are. That's all. And basically Jay Dyer, and there was like 4 other ones that like decided to just start picking fights, and it was crazy. But I just saw Kat Von D on Jay Dyer's show talking about how she went into her faith and all of these things. Dude, she's been getting some fucking hatred for it.
You know,
there's also this tarot card reading chick that just did it on TikTok.
Yeah, I saw that fucking shit too. Look, I mean, to each their own. We're all on our own journey. I'm not going to sit here in judgment of anybody's process or progress within that journey. That being said, there's something that needs to be known right now, and it's not even just about Christianity. It's not about Judaism. It's not about, you know, all of the pagans out there like myself, right? I think there are certain people out there that know that they can make money online by being grifters. And there are shitloads of them right now. These are the same people that would look into a crystal ball for you and tell you your fortune 100 years ago. These are the same exact people. It's just that they're still looking into that same crystal ball. It just so happens to be a black screen, right? It's the same shit. As the times go on, technology gets better and people stay the same, I think. But I think that there are people out there that understand that specifically, I'll say specifically Judaism and specifically Christianity are the most triggering things there are out there in the world right now. And what I mean by that is, if you go online and you make something that is pro-Christian or anti-Christian, pro-Judaism or anti-Judaism, you're going to get so much traction and so many comments, because the only way to generate something, especially online with the algorithms, the only way to play with the algorithms and get like high likes and high shares and you know, high saves and all that other stuff is by getting diverse people in your comment section. You get people fighting, and once people fight, they can't leave. They got to keep on coming back. Fuck you, no fuck you, no fuck you. And that's what drives up the engagement. So what I'm saying is that I think that it's these kind of things that are very divisive, and people who will stand up for what their beliefs are no matter what, even if it's for some grifter in the comments that probably lives in his mom's basement kind of situation.
Dude, we've had a couple of those recently too. They were on our Spotify, and, you know, I don't be checking the Spotify comments, but there was a couple of times I went through and checked just to see, because, you know, Raven Lee had told me some wild shit was going on, and we had people on the lives that were saying this. So I go back and check. Bro, we had like 4 haters that like allegedly didn't listen to the episode, never missed a show, just to leave hatred. And then we had our cult members like just lighting them alive in the comments. One of them got a free membership to the Patreon for like whatever time. And then I guess he forgot to cancel his subscription. So we actually charged him for the first month. And like, he still stayed with the hatred for a while. And it's like, dude, you realize your shit's on Patreon. I have your address. Like, I can mail you a glitter bomb. Like, I could if I so chose. I'm not going to, because I'm not a dickhead like that. But I'm just saying, like, it was hilarious. And then finally, they just like pitter-pattered themselves out, and we haven't heard from them in forever. But like, no, to your point, the episodes that got the highest engagement were where there were whole arguments in the comments section that had nothing to do with anything. Maybe 3 of the 45 comments had anything to do with the episode. The rest of it was just like devout cult members and this like group of haters that were just lighting each other alive in the comments. And it's like, first of all, I don't mind. That's great, but that's not what that's for. You know, that's a spot where we could get maybe some feedback, positive or negative, but like, oh, your mom sucks dick. Great feedback. Thank you. That will help us make this show better. You know, it's dumb shit like that.
Yeah, I don't have time for the childish comments. You know, like why are we still doing your mom jokes? Like, I'm 36 years old, bro. Like, I have already mastered your mom jokes like 20 years ago. You know what I mean?
You get brought up.
Give me a bigger challenge than that.
You get brought up by the haters a lot, even though you've been gone for so long. Basically, just because of the views that you at one time told us on this show, and then people that I'm pretty sure are checking your show out and then coming back and just talking shit. Oh, Jacob's probably holding his green coffee enema in the morning. It's like, dude, okay, cool. That was a real nice joke.
Jonathan is, yeah. No, I still am. I do it every other day. If anybody is worried about my anal gland health, it is actually really, really clean, and I'm feeling very healthy. So while you're too, maybe a little bit homophobic to shove anything up your ass, hey, don't go on judging anybody else who's probably going to live 25 years fucking longer than you. Okay, just gonna throw that out there.
Look, it's only dumb if it doesn't work, man. And it looks like you've been cutting weight. So, I mean, hey.
I have. Yeah, I have. I'm not going to lie. And, bro, I'll probably get shit for this, too.
Here we go.
I have been on this, and it's actually pretty popular amongst people who are aware of what's going on in the scientific community as far as like peptides go. But I'm on this new peptide, new-ish. It's been around for a little while, new to me. It's called retatrutide, and I got it from our boy Electro Nick. Actually makes it. He doesn't make it. He has a company, and he puts his label. He knows the guy. I don't know how it all works, but anyway.
Oh, yeah.
It's retatrutide, and it's really awesome because unlike Ozempic, which only targets one of your GLPs, it targets 3 different GLPs, and they call it a GLP-3 rather than a GLP-1. And the main thing is that it targets your glucagon receptor. And I'm not even going to try and sound super smart about it. I just know that it turns your body...
I've never even heard of a glucagon, but like it sounds legit. Hell yeah.
I guess it turns your body into a furnace. Like if you've ever gone to like one of those sauna workout places like Hot Works or something like that.
Boy, let me tell you, I love that shit.
Well, they say that their thing over there is, yeah, you're going to sweat your ass off because you're bicycling in a sauna, right? But the big catch over there is that once you leave for the next couple of hours, your body's still burning calories because you've been heated up from the inside out, right?
Right.
And that's essentially what's going on with the glucagon receptors within retatrutide, is that your body is constantly in burn mode. And I mean, I've been on it for like 3 weeks now, and I've lost like 15 pounds, so I'm here for it. Oh,
that's what's up.
It like cuts your appetite too. It's great.
Oh, dude, did I tell you I did my first cold plunge?
How was that?
First of all, fuck that. I hated it so much in that moment. but so it was a wet sauna that I was at. So, I mean, it was thick, wet, hot air, fucking sweating down to where I could barely stand it. Step out, go straight into a fucking cold plunge. And then you sit in there for like 60 seconds. Then you get out, you go back into the sauna until you like cannot take the heat. And then you go back into the cold plunge. They said did that 3 times. Dude, first of all, after effects, I get it. It's not oversold. This shit makes you feel like so much like inflammation and like pains and aches that you just have gone.
Yeah, like resets your entire nervous system by going from hot to cold like that.
Oh my God. But I will say also, if you've never done a cold plunge before and you ain't 100% commit to the bit, like this ain't something you dipping your toes in and slow rolling. Like, no, it's all or nothing. You just got to get out of your head and say, fuck it. Oh my God, dude. Ouch.
Yeah, I would love to. I have a sauna. I get in there just about every day. Just one of those, like with the PVC pipe. It's nothing special. I pay like $100.
Dude, the next house I get's going to have one. Oh, fucking yeah.
It's legit though. I mean, you want to talk about cleansing and purging all of your toxins out. You get a good little drip on. You feel good about yourself looking in the mirror, looking like fucking Arnie, and you know what I mean? But anyway, but no, I've really been trying to get on this health kick, and less for the looks, although that's like a secondary awesome part of it. It's more so, dude, I just want my mind to be sharp because, dude, whenever you are weighed down by your fat and all of this other stuff, you think about it, your body has that gut brain biome. There's actually neurons that are found within your gut. And they found that's a proven thing that there are neurons within your gut, and a lot of people never really thought about anything of the sort. However, people have been trusting their gut for a long time, right? And where does that come from? You get a gut feeling kind of situation. People just call it their intuition. I think that we just have neurons really sprinkled all throughout our body, and those are not having to go through the filter of the mind in order to perceive information. You know what I mean? Because our mind has this logical / illogical part to it. I don't think our guts have that. I don't think our hearts have that, because there's neurons within the heart as well. Anyway, it's a whole chakra thing. But all right. So today we're going to finally get into it, half an hour into this fucking show.
Hell yeah.
All right. So of course you have seen that there's been, some people would say a lot. Some people would say not enough UFO disclosure. Right?
We have been talking about this pretty heavily on the show, bro. Absolutely.
Have you seen Disclosure Day yet?
Not yet.
Fucking, you need to. It's really good.
Everybody has told us this. Yes.
I went to go see it twice. I went by myself the first time, and I went by myself the first time. I felt kind of like a dork, but I don't care. Dude, which it's actually kind of liberating going to the movie theater by yourself if you've ever done it.
It is. You're just doing you. It's nice. But no, what I was going to say, so I've had so many people, pretty much everybody agrees. So some people say, well, it's complete Hollywood op, and it's completely like that whole thing is scripted to be the release that they want us to go off of instead of the truth. Couple that with the UFO disclosure. Some of these people are looking at it like it's an inherent negative, or it's like a David Grush type of situation. Some people are saying that this is like the most amazing thing. It is such a mind blower, this, and this. Either way, love or hate it, everybody agrees like you should go watch it.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I actually really loved a lot of it. And by the way, I mean, this is Steven Spielberg making this. This ain't no Joe Schmo, right?
There's a whole conspiracy about him too, man. He's Jewish. It's a whole thing.
I don't care.
I know, right?
This is the same guy who made Close Encounters of the Third Kind back in the 70s, right? Yep. And there's a lot of UFO researchers out there that say, look, there are people in Hollywood that are given a little bit more information so they can start to drip it in the movies, right? And it's not always a bad thing. It's more of a slowly coming about so that you don't shock the entire fucking world and it crumbles into shit whenever it eventually comes out one day, right? And I think that they do that, for a reason. It's psychological reason. You don't need people going up in a panic. Oh my God, aliens are here. Well, I'm not going to work. I'm not paying my taxes. Fuck my child support. You know what I mean? Like, you still got to keep people in somewhat of a community kind of shape. And
the status quo has to continue for sure.
It must continue. And that's what they're trying to prevent from happening by this slow drip. And so anyway, there have been people that have said that Spielberg got information from, behind closed doors from people in the know within the CIA, the FBI, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, whoever is, all the naval footage and all that kind of stuff. People within the know with this highly classified kind of shit have been giving certain producers and directors this information so they can slowly drip it into movies and whatnot, right? Well, he already did that in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and he also made Hook, which is my favorite movie of all time as well.
It's an excellent one.
But people are now going back with a lot of the footage and a lot of the information that is out there about UFOs and UAPs and aliens and whatnot. And they're like, yo, Spielberg definitely knew something back in the 70s because this was seen as crazy back in the 70s. You'd have your random nut job that maybe, believed in aliens and whatnot, but most people really didn't. But it checks out. A lot of the information does check out. Now, I'm not saying that, abductions are happening that same exact kind of way. Of course, Hollywood's going to take their liberties, but I think that there is some information you can go back and look at that original Close Encounters of the Third Kind and be like, holy shit, that's exactly what a lot of people are saying now, with their own, stories, right? And so he ends up making that. Then he makes this Disclosure Day movie. And there was something that I really thought was interesting in regards to a couple of the names that he mentioned in passing, which I thought was really interesting. So one of the people that was on the crew, and I'm not going to spoil it by any means by telling you this, but one of the people that was on the crew of the good guys, we'll call them, one of the people that was on that crew, there was a guy that he mentioned in passing. His name, he called him Nathan Twinning, right? And I was like, oh, that name sounds really familiar. And I went and looked it up whenever I got out of the movie, and it was just pronounced wrong because the real guy's name is Nathan Twining. And this Nathan Twining was a part of the fucking Majestic 12, bro. And you're like, oh my God, is he trying to point to the MJ-12, the existence of the MJ-12 back in the day, to a real thing, even though you look at all of the released information through FOIA and all that kind of stuff, and the MJ-12 documents all say like bunk or crap or whatever they label them as, but
bogus,
bogus, that's right. But, and it's not to say that, the entirety of all of those documents about the Majestic 12 was all bullshit or all entire truth. I think that there's probably a little bit of both personally, but I thought that it was really interesting that he mentioned that name of all names.
It is very
just
interesting,
in passing,
dude.
For no reason. Like, we could have gone the entire movie, never heard that name. It wouldn't have made a fucking lick of a difference.
And I think it also checks out, right? The same reason why, let's say, Hollywood is shooting Zero Dark 30 or whatever that movie, right? Or the Benghazi. They're going to get Navy SEAL liaisons to come in and kind of point them in the right direction and advise on how a certain role or how a certain thing should look or how this event would play out, these types of things, right? Same with a cop movie. You're going to get cop liaisons to be there and say, well, if this was to happen, I would have ducked down and I would immediately engage and I would do this or I would de-escalate, whatever the case. It would only stand to reason that, especially somebody as high profile as Spielberg, right? Like the government and the world knew if Spielberg made a movie, he had the eyes of the country at a certain point in time. Like there wasn't a Spielberg movie you would miss. The man is a legend.
Oh, he's a modern day Kubrick, bro. Like that's,
for sure.
That's what he is to us.
He was a contemporary of Kubrick. Like they were homies. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is as old Hollywood as you want to go. So it would also stand to reason, especially how we know that the government has sway over entertainment, just like the NFL. We talked about that before. And it would stand to reason that the government would come in on some low-key way and kind of advise and be a liaison when it comes to alien things, because like the likelihood of us ever seeing these things are so minimal. Like that's not going to happen. But just like in case we do, maybe the people would need to see something kind of familiar so that they wouldn't freak out and start shooting it immediately. Maybe it should look something like E.T. You know what I mean? Like it's all of these things tie together.
Well, look, I mean, even the Catholic Church and the higher authorities within the Catholic Church have been advising within their own council about what to do if, UFO and alien kind of stuff really comes out. How are they going to bring it all together? And one thing that I thought was really interesting about that Disclosure Day movie, again, I'm not trying to spoil anything. This is just a fun little thing. So there are basically two main characters. There's this guy who used to work for a super secret, nobody even knew that it was part of the government kind of organization, right? And he was involved in collecting all of the data on UFOs, UAPs, aliens, all this weird kind of phenomena, right? Very similar to what we have now with Arrow. Or I don't know if Arrow's still around or if they got rid of that, but anyway. So very similar to that, and MUFON, and I think MUFON fucking sucks personally. But anyway,
agreed.
New Fork. If you're trying to get like up to date UFO abductions or UFO sightings or anything like that, go to newfork.org, NUFORC. If you're interested in reading, like literally people are documenting it like by the day. They're giving descriptions of the craft and all the weirdness. It's fucking awesome. With MUFON, you got to be like in the know to be able to access certain shit like that, which I think is really gay. But anyway. So where was I going with that? Oh, so within the movie, there are two main characters. There's that guy, and then there's his girlfriend. And his girlfriend was previously a nun, and she left the nunnery or the nunhood or whatever it's called, right? Because she started having her doubts. I mean, she still believed in God, but she started having her doubts about the religion and stuff like that. And so she eventually goes back to the nunnery with the rest of the nuns. Is that what it's called?
Convent or a nunnery, both are technically correct.
Okay, so she goes back to these nuns, and they're trying to hide there, and they're very excited to see her. That's a sister. It's a long lost sister. I haven't seen you in forever. Of course, you can stay here if you're under attack or trying to hide or anything like that. So she's staying there, and she's really battling up against this idea of like, man, if there's aliens, that has to just do away with the Bible. And so she's like tripping hard, right?
I've never understood that. I've had so many people I don't know. Anyway, continue.
Well, she ends up getting to a point where she sees the actual footage of the aliens being tortured by members of our government, whether it's for tech or, answers about the philosophy of what is life or whatever, right? And these aliens are being fucking like tortured, bro. And it's really like cringy to look at. Of course, it's a movie, but you can imagine that probably happened in real life to some degree,
dude,
right?
Matt Gaetz, does the name ring a bell to you?
Of course.
From Florida. So your boy, former congressman who's trying, I think, to make a presidential run, he comes live as fuck a couple months ago saying that some top level official enlisted in the United States Army came to me in my office in Clearwater, Florida, and basically told me that we have 20 forced breeding facilities with the aliens in this country right now. This, and this. And it's like, okay, brother, first of all, there's very little chance that it was an enlisted dude that came to a former congressman to tell him this. Now, if it was something of like in your state, in your area, there's a current politician in these things. Yeah, for sure. Not Matt Gaetz, the dude that got caught doing drugs and fucking 16 and 17-year-olds that just got disgraced from DC.
Was that proven or was that like a hearsay?
Because
I remember there being controversy around that with him.
So that was alleged as fuck, but whenever they did their closed congressional hearing, pretty much they determined that yes, he was guilty of it, but they didn't punish him in any way. They acknowledged his guilt and moved on.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever. Anyway, so
but to your point, as far as the torture places and the forced breeding places and all that, yeah, we've heard all kinds of crazy stories like this for sure.
Well, and there's a lot of bullshit within ufology and specifically within people that are trying to release a lot of this information. And a lot of them will tell you, Bob Lazar included, will tell you, yeah, the higher ups will feed you a bunch of bullshit, and because that way they'll know if somebody cracks, well, I only told this person or these few people this story, so I know who's the fucking the canary in the coal mine, so to say, right? And so they feed. There's a lot of truth, but it's shrouded in bullshit. Whenever it comes to anything regarding UFOs, it's super, super hush hush and secretive and manipulative, and it's a sketchy place to be, right? For sure. So that being said, could there be breeding programs? I guess there could be. I don't know.
Why not?
If there is breeding programs, why are they so sure that did you know that within? So we all know that our DNA and all of our cellular data is collected if you give it away to 23andMe or Ancestry.com, right?
Oh yeah, the Mormons got it.
So here's the deal. What they've been doing, I guess on the down low for the longest time, is that they've been going into that database and trying to find a specific type of blood that is only present within the Nordics. And because they believe that the Nordics live among us, and maybe they have proof behind that, but they've been going, and anytime they get any kind of fucking pin or notification or something like that regarding this specific blood type within 23andMe or Ancestry, they go and either hunt them down or try to say, all right, how can you help us as far as technology goes, right? Which I think is really strange, because the Nordics themselves, they're often, they have a Scandinavian resemblance, right?
Sure.
Like they're known as the tall whites. They're known as the Nordics. They're known as Pleiadians, like the same kind of image. There's different names, but it's the same kind of thing. They look like perfect angels. Like if you imagine what an angel would look like in human form, it looks like a Nordic, right? And so they can live amongst us, and people say that they actually do. And why I say that is because, I don't know if you've noticed, but here recently, the government, in so many ways, have confirmed that there are 4 types of aliens that exist here and that have been coming to visit here or live amongst us. And they were named in the Senate, which I thought was really crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like, because we're getting somewhere with this now.
The general term they're using are, all right, I'm going to try to not fuck this up, bipedal life forms of non-human intelligence.
Yes.
I think that's the big term they're using. But yeah, there's like within that, there's like 4 subgroups, if you will. And that's the thing. Be honest with me, dude. The UFO disclosure, did any of it shock you? Because me and you have been looking into this for years. Now, it's nice to hear that some of these stories that were like urban legend are confirmed by government documentation. That's kind of cool. But as far as like the actual revelations that this was, because a lot of it's still redacted. A lot of it, you can't tell much about it. Did anything just blow you the fuck away, or was this stuff that you kind of already knew about?
To be honest, like I have never looked up to the government as a source to where if they release something that it confirms in my mind, because it was already confirmed in my mind anyway. Like people are all, people are getting real butthurt about like, why haven't they released the Epstein files? Well, the thing is that they actually have released the Epstein files. It's just the names are redacted. And that's what people are really, all butthurt about. But look, I think that we already know the majority of the names. Like it's not that crazy to try and put 2 and 2 together, especially whenever Trump says to Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know if you heard this one. Trump told Marjorie Taylor Greene because that's the reason why she stepped down, was because she was trying to push for these Epstein files to be released, right? And Trump tells her, well, look, we can't release these because a lot of my friends are going to get in a lot of trouble if we do. It's like, motherfucker, that's what you ran on. Like, that's how you got everybody on the Trump train in the first place. That's why I voted for you 3 times, because I thought that you were going to be our political saving grace. And here, it turns out you're just another fucking political scumbag that nobody can trust, which, shocker, has there ever been a politician that we could trust?
Oh, no, 100% agree with you here. But also, I think that... And some people agree with me on this. Some people think that I'm crazy, but that's fine. I feel like the UFO disclosure also leads to another file within the Epstein files. Because if you look at the genetic testing he was doing at Zorro Ranch, some are arguing that he was trying to, and also the funding that he brought towards Harvard in a very specific place, right? That laboratory that he was funding, he was essentially trying to become a god. And I don't mean that as some sort of like colloquial. No. He was trying to make sure his consciousness would live on forever. And he was also trying to breed the perfect human.
You talking about Epstein, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like there's so many things within that. And then cut to the conversation about the UFO and the possible forced breeding places and these ones that are walking among us and whatever else. I honestly think that there is way more of a connection to that than what they want to admit, but neither here nor there. We'll never get the Epstein files. They released 1/3 of them and then have steady been pulling them since. Like they released 1 million files. Right now, there's only like 500,000, if that. Yeah, and that, how many of those are duplicates? I think it's more like 200,000, really.
It doesn't take like a giant imagination to really put 2 and 2 together. And the sick part about it is that even the people with the craziest imaginations probably don't even come close to what actually happened and who all was involved. Like,
agreed.
You can never get crazy enough whenever it comes to this kind of shit. Like, it is that disturbing. These people literally believe that they are walking gods and they can do as they please, right? Like, and I mean that in not even necessarily like in a religious type of way. They just believe that they are the top of the food chain whenever it comes to humans. Like there are
That's
humans,
crazy.
there are your peasants, right? And then there's your kings. And these people are the kings, they believe, and maybe they are to a certain extent with their pull and their sway and the amount of money and the shit that they can get away with. I mean, to be honest, they're better off. They're more fitted for the term king than any previous king of any previous time, right?
That's fair.
Mean, even you and I mean, we have a higher degree of living than any king ever did. I mean, kings never had AC, kings never had refrigeration, kings never had fucking a lot of the shit that we kind of take for granted. But these people are far above even us, obviously, and they see themselves as that. And so they think that there's no rules.
Absolutely 100% agree. And that has been shown through every step of the Epstein conversation. But then how many conspiracies have you and I looked into where it all ties back to one extremely wealthy corporate or esoteric or whatever, or political or royal dickhead who pretty much made shit completely fucked up for everybody else? Like that is a tale as old as time, honestly. And it's an interesting time to be alive because for years, bro, you and I, we talked about possible end time prophecy, possible what does the end of the world really look like? And remember I told you that America and Israel were so locked in on some blood oath shit. America would never turn its back on Israel because that's how we were just, it's been a thing since 48. Bro, for the first time in the history of that country, that is a real possibility if they don't make some moves happen soon. Like they have already lost the majority of the fan base they had once in America. And it's not just a Jewish faith thing, although that is becoming very prevalent online too. But Israel, the state, Netanyahu, the fucking war criminal, like, dude, it's gotten bad.
Well, yeah. And to be honest, I used to go pretty hard over at Israel too. I think that obviously they've had their hand in controlling America to a certain extent. There's no doubt about that. But to be honest, I think that the proper move is for us to just look in the mirror at our leadership, and our leadership is no better than Israel. Like, let's just be real. The amount of experiments that it's done on its own people, the amount of tax dollars that it absolutely rapes us from. We're still at $7.25 minimum wage, which I hear there's a proposal to bring it up to $25 an hour. I don't see that happening. And if it does, welcome AI to literally every fast food restaurant.
Yeah.
Like,
we're the only state. We're the only state that hasn't had a minimum wage increase in like 30 years.
It's kind of crazy. But anyway, all right, look, I want to get back to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
So they just announced that there are 4 known types of aliens within that have come here, that have maybe been peeping on us a little bit, maybe have been doing the whole thing as far as like trading humans for technology. We talked about that before. And, that was a deal allegedly done by Eisenhower back in the day. And so I'm not shocked whenever they say that there's 4. And it's the 4 that everybody's already familiar with. So you have your little grays, you have the Nordics, you have the insectoids, and you have the reptilians. Those are the 4 more or most prominent. And so they say that's the 4 that we at least know about. I'm sure they know of a lot more, but I guess those are like the ones that come in the biggest herds kind of situation, right?
Sure.
I mean, the universe is vast and it's growing even vaster. So to say that there is only 5 types of like higher embodied physical intelligence spread throughout the entire universe would be a stretch, to say the least. But that being said, I thought that it was interesting. So I pulled up a couple articles and I was like, all right, who was it that said that there was these 4 types? And how is this really coming about here? Right? Like, why is it so prominent now that they're willing to talk about the 4 types of alienhood out there, and they're willing to go by name? Yeah. And so I have it pulled up somewhere. Give me 1 minute, because for some reason, all of my tabs decided to close. All right. So here we go. Now, this was reported across pretty much all news stations, but I just found this one clip right here. This is from Fox5Atlanta.com. And so it says UFO Insider claims U.S. has bodies of 4 different alien species from downed spacecraft in government custody, which I was like, okay, so not only are they admitting to the 4 types of aliens, but they also have the bodies of them from crashed UFOs.
In Atlanta? Or is just where it was reported from? I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is just where it was reported.
Gotcha.
But it says new claims that the United States has recovered remains of 4 separate species of alien life are sending shockwaves throughout the UFO disclosure movement, further drumming up conversations surrounding the government's knowledge of otherworldly life. Dr. Hal Puthoff, a CIA-funded researcher and former Advanced Aerospace Weapon System Applications Program Advisor, which is AWASP, I believe, or ASAP, or I can't remember how the fucking
crazy ass acronyms. Yeah. Either way.
Anyway, he announced the new revelation while appearing at a UFO roundtable on Steve Bartlett's show called The Diary of a CEO podcast, which highly recommend. That guy is awesome. British guy. He's freaking legit. But anyway, he said it alongside the Age of Disclosure director, Dan Farah, last week. And it goes, given the level of quality of their technology, if they didn't want to be seen, we wouldn't be seeing them, Puthoff said on the podcast. So it seems like, I would say there's evidence that for whatever reason, they're wanting to be seen, which that is true. I mean, look, if you're that far advanced on technology, why would you be letting us see lights in the sky? Why would you be crashing down? Like your shit is so advanced, but you have crashes? It's kind of weird, right?
The only thing I would think would be like arrogance. Like they're flying low and they don't give a fuck. What are you going to do, pesky hairless apes? What the fuck are you going to do? Hit me with a rock? Like whatever. But even still, we've had Hellfire missiles shoot them down. And we have had like all of these. So you're right. The only reason that that's even allowed is because they want us to see them. Has to be.
Yeah, well. So Puthoff went on to claim that federal officials have recovered 4 separate types of extraterrestrial life from various UFOs. He goes, people who have been involved in recoveries have said that there are at least 4 separate types, Puthoff said. Now, I have not had direct access to that, but I believe the people who I talked to, 4 separate types of life. So while Puthoff did not elaborate on the specific types of suspected alien species, his former AAWSAP, however you say that, colleague, Dr. Eric Davis, previously revealed they included Nordics, Greys, Insectoids, and Reptilians, according to the New York Post. Now, that was mentioned, I believe, in a Senate hearing or a Congress hearing, one of those kind of official things. And so citing intelligence reports last year, Davis reportedly claimed that each of the biological life forms pulled from the supposed UFO wreckage is similar to humans in appearance since they possess 2 arms and a pair of legs. The revelation does not come as a surprise to experts within the UFO disclosure movement. It goes on to say that depending upon the UFO researchers that I have talked to, they talk about there being many variations of those 4 forms. I have also heard that there are amphibian type UFOs or aliens. Now, the amphibian type makes a lot of sense because a lot of these UFOs be disappearing into the water. Right. Yeah. Like, and it's not even always big. Like you would expect it, like if they're going into the water, you would expect bases like in the oceans or in the Great Lakes or, in the Gulf of Mexico or America, however you want to call it.
Fucking right.
It's like you would expect it in these big, large bodies of water. However, I've talked to people personally that have seen UFOs that literally this UFO disappeared into their yard, into their pond in their backyard. Okay, so I think that the water is maybe a medium for something. I don't even think that necessarily that the actual, maybe, who knows? Is it a physical base? Is it an extra dimensional base? Whatever. I have no idea. It's way above the way I can comprehend. But I thought that it was pretty interesting that there are amphibian type UFOs. So it goes on and it says, so yes, there are claims that there were many different species visiting us. And this was by Kent Hecken Lively. What a name. So, of the 4 alien species believed to have been previously recovered by U.S. officials, the Nordics bear the most similar resemblance to humans, with greys often believed to consist of small, massive-eyed, hairless creatures. The Post reported. So the most commonly described aliens are the greys, and there's been a lot of discussion about whether they are essentially the designed beings for our world. They seem to have the easiest time moving around, and they're the most commonly sighted aliens, which is true. The strange thing about these 4 creatures, and I'll get back to the story here in a minute. The strange thing about these 4 creatures is that people not only see them in person, like in reality, people are seeing these creatures in their dreams. People are seeing these creatures on psychedelics. People are seeing these creatures whenever they go off into the depths of their minds within meditation. So it's the craziest thing that they're almost appearing consciously, which, look, if all of this is one giant mind or we live in a dream, then why wouldn't they appear consciously if we exist within that dream too? That's kind of the way I look at it.
You mean the demons are possessing people, Jonathan?
Yeah, well, demons do be possessing people, but I think that people open that door on their own personally.
I'm still battling it out with the aliens or demons people still to this day, and it's okay. Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Look, I mean, I'll tell you this, and just to go off on a side tangent, I think that people get very caught up on 2 things whenever it comes to types of beings that are not human, that are intelligent. I think people get caught up, number 1, on the looks. Like, if they look scary, then they have to be evil, right? Like, dude, if you saw a fucking gray alien, you would want to punt that thing, right? Like, get away from me, you fucking imp, right? Like, most people would probably act that way. Because
I'll be curious if it's impervious to lead. I'll be honest with you.
Well, and you would want to do it mainly as a survival tactic, but that survival tactic is brought on out of fear, usually, right? Like that survival kind of instinct is not going to trigger within you without a little bit of fear, and that's what helps keep us alive. That being said, I believe that it's more than just how they look. I think that these creatures, call them extraterrestrials, aliens, whatever, I think that they are a different frequency than us. I'll give you a good example. Like, you've been around people that, like, for some reason, you just don't trust that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, or for some reason, I don't even know you. I've heard you say maybe 20 words. I fuck with you. I vibe with you. And there's just some kind of instinct that comes off with that. And the reason I say that is that we're essentially like unconsciously measuring frequencies and calling it a vibe, right? Like, it's a vibe, it's a vibration, it's a frequency. It's all the same shit anyway. But I think that these things are happening whenever we come in contact with these types of entities. And I think maybe to a higher degree, because look, if they're from another planet, if they're from another dimension, if they're from somewhere else, not here on Earth in the 3rd dimension, then why wouldn't they have a different frequency? You know what I'm saying? Like, it would make sense, because your frequency is obviously going to align with your planet. That's why, we have the Schumann resonance. The Schumann resonance is very similar, believe it or not. The Schumann resonance is almost the exact same whenever somebody is in deep meditation. Do you know that?
I think you might have told me that before.
So the Earth is essentially in deep meditation. And whenever we go into deep meditation, you can measure your frequency, and it becomes that of the Earth. So what's interesting is that our safe place is the same frequency of the place we inhabit. And so could it be possible that these aliens are just the same thing? Maybe their Schumann resonance resonates at a higher frequency, but to us, whenever we hear or see or feel higher frequencies, well, that survival fucking fear kind of thing kicks in. And so now not only are you scary, but I don't like your vibe either. And I think that that's what's going on anytime somebody has an alien experience personally. And I've stated this before in multiple different ways, like, another example would be sleep paralysis, or on psychedelics or whatever. Dude, there are certain, by the way, I just want to let all the good cult members know that I am a Rosicrucian now. So I'm involved in the mysteries. Okay. I'm an initiate of the mysteries. I'm trying to figure out where the fuck we're at. And that's okay. I'll take the shit for it. It's totally cool. That being said, within the mysteries, they talk about how there's layers of consciousness that we're slowly like unfolding and stuff like that, right? Like that's kind of like the whole point with Helena Blavatsky and a lot of that kind of stuff, right? If you've ever like read or listened to any of Blavatsky's stories, like I recently read The Land of the Gods by Blavatsky, blew my mind. I love that book.
I've read quite a few things from Blavatsky actually. And me and you very much differ on our opinions of her, but that's not a talk for now.
Well, it's said within the people who may be initiated, and you can find anything on the internet now, so you don't even necessarily have to be initiated to learn this kind of stuff. It's no longer really secret mystery school. It's all out there, right? But It's said within those kind of mystery schools that, look, if you're ever like in fear, and maybe you're in a sleep paralysis, or maybe you're on a psychedelic trip, or maybe you went too deep into a meditation and you see some kind of scary monster, right? Maybe it's a massive lion, maybe it is a gigantic octopus and it's going to eat you or absorb you or whatever, right? Like all of these things, most people would react in fear because that's kind of like what the human body and mind is designed to do. That being said, if you can counteract that and not succumb to your fear, they actually say the proper thing to do to alleviate all that stress is that whenever you see something like that, go up and kiss it. And that sounds strange. That sounds far-fetched and it sounds out there. But here's what it does. It tells that creature that you're not succumbing to whatever kind of negative vibration that they're putting off consciously or unconsciously. I mean, maybe they have control over their frequency, and through that frequency, they know that if they give off this high frequency, you're going to be scared. Maybe you'll leave them the fuck alone, or maybe they'll steal your loosh or whatever they do, right? But beyond that, if you go up in such like a crazy way of saying that I'm not scared of you just by going up and like kissing them on the cheek or something like that, or going up and giving them a hug or something like that. They say that let's say you, like I was saying earlier with the lion, right? Like if you see this gigantic lion in one of these, altered states, then go up to it and climb inside of its mouth. Like It is the craziest shit out there, but supposedly by going, they're seen as gatekeepers of information. And so if you can, kind of bypass that firewall, they'll essentially give you the information. And it kind of reminds me of the Chamber of Secrets with the three-headed dog, right? And it's
Cerberus, yeah.
Yeah, and it's guarding that whole thing. If you can get past that, put it to sleep or whatever, then you can have access to the information that they may be there guarding. And so it's crazy. It's wild. I know it's not for everybody, but I love that kind of shit. I'm all for it.
Interesting. Now, I did bring up, I forget, I think it was on one of the lives, somebody had brought up you or what you're looking into, and I had mentioned, like, no, he just became a Rosicrucian. They're like, wait, what? And I'm like, I hope I'm not, like, doxing him. Like, I don't think that's a secret, but, like, yeah, he is a member of the Order of the Rosy Cross these days. He just became a member, and, like, I don't know much about their order as far as levels and, dues or what the things are, but, yeah, and he's like, I don't know how he got there that quickly, and this and this. I'm like, wait, pause. I don't mean he's like a part of the group underneath the Freemasons that call themselves something. No. He's like the Rosicrucian order itself. That's what it is. But,
yeah. It's not like a brotherhood like you would imagine, like with the Freemasons or the Illuminati or Skull and Bones or any of that kind of shit. It's not even necessarily a secret society. It's a mystery school. So those are two very different things. A lot of people like to group them together. They're very different. Like there's no, I don't need to sacrifice my firstborn or anything crazy like that. She's still living. I can call her in here. You can see her. But
now the Rosicrucians traditionally were never big on the whole sacrifice thing either. It was more like Christian mysticism, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, there's two different sects of it. So you have your Christian mysticism, half of it, which, that dives into the guy named Christian Rosenkreutz, which allegedly started Rosicrucianism, or it's named after him. A lot of people say that even the Rosicrucian name, like, it's just what we call it nowadays, but it's always been a mystery school through the ages. So they say that the lore goes all the way back to like ancient Egypt and stuff like that. I don't really care about the history of it. I just like knowing the secret knowledge kind of stuff.
See, that's the same kind of line that the Freemasons gives. And that's why, like, the York Rite versus the Scottish Rite, right? The Knights Templar versus the Shriner route, because the Knights Templar are more of the Christian mysticism side of things, and the Shriners are more of the Eastern philosophy side of things. And that's more of like the Blavatskys and Vedics and shit like that. But not always, but there's that flavoring, if you will. Rosicrucians, I thought it was all Christian mysticism. So you got the one that's kind of that flavor, and then what's the other type?
Well, yeah, so you have your Christian mystics out there, like Rudolf Steiner, for example. Like, he's a big, like, Christian mystic. And I do really love a lot of the Christian mystic stuff. I think that it's important to understand that whenever people are choosing, all right, do you want to go with the Christian mystic side, or do you want to go with more of like the just the esoteric Egyptology kind of version, which I've always been more attracted to that kind of stuff personally. I didn't grow up in religion or anything like that, so I think that the Egyptian shit has always been really cool to me. You know,
Heard that.
Everybody knows that I have a love for my homeboy Thoth, aka Hermes Trismegistus, aka Big Dick. All right, like that is my I just had to throw that part in there.
All the statues that say he was actually small, but that was like a prized thing back then, you know?
I mean, yeah, small dick meant you were intelligent back then. So
exactly.
Good
he was
for him.
smart as fuck. He gave humans, you know, writing and shit.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, he brought the people to the land of Chem and that whole deal. But anyway, I digress. My point is that I prefer the esoteric side, not to say that the Christian mysticism isn't esoteric. It's all about what lens are you viewing information from. And if you really think about it, we all view information through a lens, whether you think that you are or not. Right.
Sure.
And a lot of people, in order to comprehend the deeper esoteric mysteries of this reality, they need to see it through that Christian lens in order to group it together and kind of bring it full circle in their own way of understanding. It's not to say that the Christian way or the esoteric way is the right way. It's just different shades of glasses that you're wearing in order to interpret the information.
Sure.
So I went that route. Now, I can say that I'm a Rosicrucian, but I can't talk about everything, you know, like it's a secret order for a reason. It's not even really secret. Dude.
It is. See, you said it's not, but it totally is. But that's also okay because you're trying to draw more people into it. It's not an exclusivity thing, but you're also trying to like spread the word, and there is a barrier to entry. Look, you ain't got to explain to me. I'm all about barriers to entry, bro. You know that.
I mean, look, whether you're giving tithe dollars or you're paying $150 a year to understand mystery school shit, whatever. I mean, I'll pay the price. It's not a lot. You sign up on the internet. It's nothing really crazy, to be honest with you. It's and they send you these things like once a week for you to like meditate on and learn on.
So you don't actually go to like the lodge?
There really is no lodge. Like, they have a lodge in California, but it's really more of just a museum, and I guess some of the old heads will meet up there from time to time, but there's like the lodge itself, like according to how they say it, the lodge itself is, and this is going to sound crazy to you, it's in the astral realm. Like, you go up there, like you go into a meditation, they tell you how to get to like this library or this lodge through meditation. They give you all the techniques and everything. And I guess over the course of time, you're able to go up in the astral realm to this lodge in which, you know, if you're ready to be initiated onto the next level, supposedly there will be a curator up there or somebody to a higher degree within the know of Rosicrucianism will be there to give you like the next step.
Bro, you're in Louisiana
esoteric.
now. There's a Rosicrucian temple right next to the New Orleans airport. I've sent you a picture of it before. You're back in Louisiana now.
Well, the way that this is designed, you don't need to go to a temple. You know, like, it's kind of like
a lodge or temple. I'm not sure what the classification is, but I'm with you.
Yeah, you don't need to go to temple or whatever it is. Like, it's kind of like, you know, there's people that are Christians that don't go to church. You know, it's kind of like that same deal. It's you can learn on your own. Anyway,
got you.
I don't even know how we got into that, but we just be going off on wild tangents and go on forever and fucking forget
as we do. The cult members love that shit. So I mean, here we are.
Yeah, dude. So where were we? So anyway, yeah, they're talking and here we go. So that heckin' lively person said the thing I always say is that it's hard to tell just a little bit of the truth. Once you start telling the truth, you've got to tell it all. So I really think that the Trump administration has shown that they are interested in getting the truth out. I think some of the releases have been truly remarkable. That's heavily debated. But back in 2023, former Air Force intelligence officer and UAP task force member David Grush provided congressional testimony claiming that the federal government possessed non-human biologics pulled from dozens of downed UFOs, the New York Post reported. Now, I know a lot of people don't really care about David Grush because he didn't actually see any of this stuff in real life with his own eyes. However, he was privy to a lot of the information. Take that with a grain of salt, though, because it's always shrouded in bullshit. So you never really know what you can believe. That being said, look.
I mean, I don't disagree with the statement that he made. I just don't like that it came from him. Like, I do believe that we have probably gotten some sort of like quote unquote biologics from crashes and things. But like, you understand, like a strand of hair is technically speaking a biologic. So is an entire body. So is a still alive subject, like all of these things. But the point is to say that these crafts had a pilot within them, and we have documented and cataloged these findings. Yeah, I don't think that's a crazy statement to make at all.
Well, I tend to look at David Grush as the Edward Snowden of UAPs. Right? Like Edward Snowden, all he saw was information. All he saw was things on a screen, right? Like, and he saw how the NSA was working, how it was spying on the American people and all this kind of stuff. He saw it on a screen the same way that David Grush did. So, I mean, I guess we can split hairs here.
But he was a whistleblower who was showing the crimes the NSA was committing. David Grush was chosen and selected by the DOD to speak on matters, like to be the spokesperson for them, if you will. Now, to your point, I don't think that means
that's how it went down. We don't know.
That's how he says it went down. He never saw any of these things, but he was given this information by the firsthand sources. So this is third-party information, and he was approved by the DOD to speak on these things. But I do not think that makes his entire testimony invalid by any means. But it's like you have to, the same way you said earlier, put the glasses on to realize this is what the government is okay with you knowing from them. That's what David Grush's like link in this chain is. That doesn't mean it's all a lie. That means this is a version of somewhat true events that he's talking about, if that makes sense.
If you tune in to Jeremy Corbell's podcast with the older gentleman, I love him, but I can never remember his name. But anyway, they have a podcast, and Jeremy Corbell says that David Grush is the smoking gun. Like, he's the guy that we should be paying attention to probably more than any other guy. And that's
really,
and which is crazy because Jeremy Corbell, like, this guy is obsessed with getting all this information out. Like, you can tell he puts his heart and soul into it. I know he maybe rubs people the wrong way, or people don't like him, or whatever. Maybe he has a little bit of a flamboyancy to him. Who cares? My point is, I like him. I like the information that's coming out, and I love the drive. And you can tell when certain people have drive and when certain people are grifters. And I don't believe that he's a grifter personally.
I feel that.
So whenever he says pay attention to David Grush, I pay attention to David Grush. And so it goes on to say that Grush's claims reportedly stemmed from Farah's documentary called The Age of Disclosure, which, if you haven't seen that was released on Amazon. I think you pay $10, you can watch it. It was really good. It was all about like the White House briefings and the Senate briefings and all that stuff regarding disclosure, and it didn't really teach me anything new, if I'm being honest, but
right.
But that's how these things go. But it says, in which individuals involved in the alleged crash retrieval program provided information surrounding the discoveries. It goes on to say that a number of people I interviewed in my film, senior intelligence officials, went on the record saying that there have been dozens of crashed craft of non-human origin over the years, which is, I believe that. I believe 100%. It. right? Like, why wouldn't there be? I mean, everybody knows about Area 51. Everybody knows about fucking Roswell and all these kind of things. The Phoenix Lights, which that was one of my personal favorites.
100%. No, there's been tons of crashes. It's just like that's one that got super famous and super, notoriety and shit. But they've crashed all over the world, dude. Every nation, come to find out, has their own version of a crash story.
Oh, dude, the one in Brazil with Varginha. That one is crazy. And I don't know if you've been keeping up. I know you've been covering a lot of UFO stuff. Brazil is smoking the United States as far as UFO releases. Like, it is crazy all the shit that's come out over there.
Yeah, there is. It absolutely is. It's so much of this that we didn't know before because it's like, I guess our algorithms finally started communicating internationally. Like there's like Japan and America on Twitter have like somehow our algorithms linked up and the Japanese people are like super fucking like excited to see American shit on their feeds. And a lot of Americans are super excited to see like Tokyo shit on their feeds. It's crazy, but like, it's like the Brazil algorithm and the American algorithm is going through its own version of that right now. And it's like, wait, oh, y'all like UFOs? Oh, bro, we've seen that shit all the time. Here's some videos. Like, here, take them. What do y'all think it is? It's crazy.
Yeah, well, I think that, UFO and aliens is a language that everybody of the world can speak. And dude, I got to tell you about this. I'm sorry. This is going to be an awesome story. Great side tangent. There was this guy, and actually, my ex showed this video to me, right? And it was this guy, he's speaking Portuguese. I don't understand it. I know only the cuss words. That's just what I know.
Right.
But as far, it's this guy and he's out there on his own like farmland. Like he has all these, animals and shit roaming around, as a lot of people do over in Brazil. It's like a lot of people live in the country and they don't even work jobs. They just tend their farm and that's how they live, which I think is just a phenomenal way to live. And so this guy, he's out there farming, and taking care of the animals and whatnot, the chickens and the goats and whatnot. And over the hill, he can see, because, Brazil is very well known for the Amazon and the rainforest and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how close he lived to that, but it looks like he was in a very foresty area. Anyway, but over this, so he lives like next to this this mountain that is like super green, a lot of shrubs and trees and stuff like that. And right over the mountain peak, he can see that there's like these crazy lights that are going on right at the horizon level where the sky meets the treetops, right? Yeah. And it is just the craziest thing. And he hears like this weird sound. And he goes, the animals, like none of them were even saying anything. If you got a chicken, that thing's going to be barking, right? Like all these animals are going to be making noises. None of them were making any noise. It's almost like they picked up on the frequency of whatever the fuck was going on over there. And it seemed like maybe it was a couple miles away. Like this is off in the distance, but he can see it because it's like right up on top of the mountains. And he's seeing like all these crazy lights and he's hearing like all these crazy noises, almost like people talking in the background, like, yeah. And it was like kind of eerie, right? And so he posts this. He ends up gaining like fucking 20 million followers overnight as a result of this video. So shout out to him. But so he sees that, right? And so people started doing their research. And dude, they went on to fucking Google Earth. And wouldn't you know, dude? And let me fucking get crazy. I will share the screen with these photos, dude. And let me describe them first. So people went on to Google Earth. And Google Earth, they blot a lot of shit out a lot of the times, right? But for sure, people went on to Google Earth in that area where he was pointing to, right over the mountains. You can literally see spacecraft that is laying on the forest floor, 2 of them. It is the craziest thing. And one of them looks like it's straight out of Halo, bro. Like it is some crazy ass shit.
Are we sure this isn't AI or something? Like they're still up right now?
Yeah, they're still up. Like you can go find it.
Oh shit.
It is I went and found it myself because I was like, is it AI? You never know. I went and found it myself on Google Earth. You can do anything, right? And let me try and see. Let me pull this up on my phone. Dude, this is the craziest shit ever. It'll blow your damn mind. So
I can't believe Google Earth hasn't like come through and scrubbed that out by now. How long has this been a known thing?
Now, I first heard about this like 3 weeks ago. So I don't know if I don't know if it's been scrubbed since then, but I know 3 weeks ago whenever I was looking it up, it was still up there. All right, I'm sharing. Oh, I got the Wi-Fi.
Take your time, dude. Honestly, I'm stoked to see these. I mean, we've seen so many pictures of wreckage, of alleged crash sites, artist renditions of certain things. You know, I've seen a bunch of them. But to say that something is currently on Google Maps, now I understand, good cult members. Yes, I know we can't trust Google and the things. I hear you.
But they generally cover up shit like this.
Generally, they go out of their way to blot this out, not show it. So let's look at this together.
All right, so this is what the guy saw from his land, right? Like these lights. And
looks
and
like
by
a
the way,
little town.
If you can imagine, like it looks kind of like a flying disc, like a flying saucer.
Well, so
right?
I was thinking it looks like it's on top of the mountain, like there's a party, like there's a big rave going on top of the mountain. But like, yeah, if that's flying in between us and the horizon, then yeah, I see what you mean.
Right, but there's nothing over there. Like
right.
Like he lives there, he would know, right? And so he's seeing this, he's hearing the weird sounds and shit like that, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And by the way, he's live streaming this. That like this was a live stream. He went out and because he would like live stream him feeding the animals and talking to the animals, gay. Sure. Like he's a flamboyant guy and people like him and shit like that. Whatever. So he's like filming this and he's like, "Holy shit, what is that?" And so people start doing a little bit of research. They pull it up on Google Maps or Google Earth rather, and this is what you get whenever you pull it up on Google Earth. Are you ready?
Okay. Yep.
This.
Whoa.
This is the object that he was seeing. This is another object that he wasn't seeing, but is laying right next to it. Now, this is literally like 3 miles away from where he lives. And this is written in Portuguese. It's not hard to comprehend, though. It says objeto misterioso, which means mysterious object, right? It's literally labeled a mysterious object on Google Earth.
And
this
also,
is in the middle of nowhere.
This doesn't look like a crash site. Like one of them looks like it might have some pieces missing or not.
Like
I don't know it
there
because there's no skid marks. There's no trees damaged. There's no fire, nothing like that. These two crafts just landed in the middle of the fucking rainforest in Brazil.
I know, right? Like this shit's nuts.
What
and the guy was able to live stream it off chance. Like this was a happenstance. This was not a setup by any means. He was spooked. Like he actually he was scared whenever he saw this, right?
Has he seen more of them, or is it just that one night with the lights?
I haven't kept up with them. I mean, there's so many people I try and keep up with as far as like UFO kind of stuff. But yeah, that one really caught my attention, especially with all the things that are being released in Brazil right now. I'm telling you, dude, it will blow the fucking nipples right off your chest.
That is wild as fuck. Okay. So anyway, back to the article.
Okay. So, Farah, the guy who made the Age of Disclosure documentary, he says that elements of our government have recovered those crashes and they've gotten out of that technology of non-human origin and in some cases non-human bodies that were on these craft. So it says, while questions continue to swirl regarding the possibility of biological life forms being in the possession of the federal government, Heckin' Lively is often offering a stark warning surrounding the reality of aliens and humans coming into contact with each other. And he says it may not be that these aliens are demons, but maybe they have fundamentally different ways of approaching the world that we would find objectionable, which I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Why wouldn't
we already see what it looks like when Muslims go into England and Europe and how their culture might be seen as objectionable by the civilized world. Like we see that. So what does that look like when it's not even another human race? If it's another race from another planet that like they, who knows? It might be customary for you to like eat your host or something. Who fucking knows?
Well, dude, I mean, we could probably be seen as savages for all the animals that we eat to them. You know, it could be something like that.
It's very possible.
And so anyway, it goes on to say, maybe there are good reasons to stay apart from each other. Maybe they just have figured out there would be such inevitable clashes because we have such different views of morality that any contact should be extremely limited. He's saying that that's how maybe the aliens would be to us, which I think is very fair. Now,
that is fair, but that also sounds like the government's trying to protect you. Obviously, I hear what you're saying. Like that is a very fair point, and all evidence towards this. I hear you, but I also cannot get out from under the fact of how that sounds like on a whiteboard. You know what I mean?
No, don't get me wrong. Like, if this is the government's suggestion, I'm telling them to fuck off. But if it's from the point of view of the aliens, then I would understand. I think that that's what he was trying to refer to.
I feel you.
So, out of all of that, I thought, okay, interesting. 4 types of aliens. And there was a name that was brought up as the guy that mentioned who were the 4 types of aliens. And it just so happened to be this guy right here. His name is Dr. Eric Davis. And this is actually the clip from the hearing. Okay. So,
all right.
Again, I don't know if this was Senate, Congress. I don't know. It could have been a fucking, a town hall for all I know. But there were people there that, so you got Avi Loeb, which think of what you want about Avi Loeb. He had a lot of strange things to say about what was that thing that was floating in space.
Three-Eye Atlas, man. It's clearly the craft. And he threw his career in the trash. He's not seen professionally by his contemporaries as like a source anymore, but the UFO community loves him.
Why wouldn't they?
Right.
But then you got Eric Davis over here talking. This is the only clip that I was able to find for some reason, and it's not great audio. I'm sorry about that, but it says, classified no more, Eric Davis talks alien types with lawmakers. And here.
Do you have or can you comment on whatever species have been piloting these craft? How are they large? Are they multiple species? Are they like, what was their size and how many are usually on a craft?
They're typically the multiple species. People are familiar with the Greys, the Nordics. People were talking about reptilians and insectoids. It's not that they're reptilian or insectoid, it's that they resemble to the percipient of reptile or an insect type humanoid, because they have a head and 4 limbs and torso.
So, large, small?
Human size, human scale.
And are there how many are crewed?
Well, the Greys I'm familiar with from investigating the crash at Corona, which is misnamed the crash at Roswell. It's not the crash at Roswell, it's the crash at Corona in Mexico. Those were Greys, those were 4 foot tall. And the Nordics are typically human size, probably, I've heard 5-6 feet tall. And same with the people who mislabel reptilian and insectoid, they're roughly that top height too. I haven't heard anything about anything 7 or 8 feet or 9 feet tall.
Okay, so if it was hard to hear, I understand.
That was difficult to hear, man.
He was basically saying, that there are 4 known types that people have talked about with crash craft. Right. And and he named the 4 with the Nordics, the Greys, the reptilians, and the insectoids. And so I did a little bit of research on this guy, like who is Eric Davis? And again, that is another one of the articles that for some reason just decided to run away, but I have it here. If you just give me 1 minute. Hey,
we're not in a rush, man.
All right. So here we go. We'll just pull this up real quick. So who is Dr. Eric Davis? So he is an astrophysicist and prominent defense contractor known within the UFO UAP community for his involvement in government-funded exotic tech studies and his claims regarding secretive crash retrieval and reverse engineering programs. So this ain't Joe Schmo off the street. This guy has been in the know and, was government funded for his exotic tech studies and stuff like that. So he would know a thing or two about a thing or two. Also an astrophysicist and a defense contractor, right? This guy is not just a regular guy. And he's like, he's got all of the credentials. Like he,
it stands to reason. Like, okay, you've seen Terminator. You've seen Terminator 2, obviously the best one in my opinion. You remember when they found the chip and they found the robot arm? And Skynet was basically all built off of the computer chip that was discovered because it was so far beyond anything that they had. So they just reverse engineered it and cornered the market. It's the same thing. It's the same fucking thing.
Well, yeah.
As far as like a defense contractor would have like these super high, super techy, components and computer things that they have, and especially reverse engineering shit. Oh yeah, that's in the defense contractors. Oh, 100%.
And by the way, anybody that is curious about like that whole treaty that allegedly Eisenhower signed so that we could have our own people kind of studied in a trade for some of their technology. Look it up, dude. We actually did an episode on it called the Greada Treaty, or the Greada Treatise, if you want to be more, formal. But anyway, that's like a real thing. There's a lot of documentation regarding that. And I believe it. I mean, fuck, why wouldn't we? Like, if you're trying to be a superpower in the world, what is more superpowery than fucking alien technology, dude? Right?
Absolutely.
Like, I don't know. I mean, dynasties trying to remain dynasties. Why wouldn't they be doing it? So anyway, so you got Dr. Eric Davis, and he's the one that's saying that these are the 4 types of the beings that have been retrieved from crashed UFOs. So I was like, all right, now we have talked to people who have either channeled or had conversations with or are somehow connected to a couple of these types of beings. If you remember, sir, the reptilian channeler, our homie, Anthony, Canadian Awareness, shout out to him. That guy, a lot of people thought that he was nutty, and maybe he is. I mean, who knows? I mean,
who knows?
There's no proof that you can actually channel reptilians, and if so, how are you going to prove it kind of deal? But I will say, if you're going to listen to any kind of reptilian channeler, that fucking guy, he almost embodies the vibe of a reptilian. And I mean that in a good way.
He is so the reptilians, by his account, are the Alpha Draconians, who are pretty much the warlords over the area to which our planet is located. It's been a minute since I talked to him, but that's about the vibe.
Yeah, the whole story is that the Alpha Draconis went to war with the Lyrans. And is
that the insect type?
The Lyrans are like the cat people.
Damn it. I want them to go to war against the insect types. Fuck them big bugs.
So shout out to my homegirl Sekhmet, but I always got to give her a shout out. We had one very special night together. I didn't even light a candle or take her out to dinner, but she said, "You don't need to do that, Daddy."
Still made it purr, huh?
Oh, dude. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. I forgot about that story. Wow. Yep, continue. We back. We here.
So anyway, I have a belief in the Lyrans. I'll just say that. And it's not a belief because I want to. It's a belief because I may have experienced that on a psychedelic trip. Everybody's heard the story. I'm not going to go into it. So anyway, let's get back to the reptilians here. Now, where are you going to find prominent factual knowledge on reptilians, on gray aliens, on the Nordics, on the insectoids? Well, you got to look to the crazy people. And sometimes the crazy people are called Gaia, okay? And so I just want to call that what it is. Because most people, when referring to these kinds of things, it's very talked about within these kinds of circles, whether it's the esoteric or, the UFO communities and stuff like that. So look, if they are real, which may or may not have been confirmed with lawmakers, then let's get to know these fucking things, right? Like, that way, if one haunts you in a sleep paralysis type of event, you at least know what you're looking at.
No, I hear you. Let's get into it. What does Gaia have to say on the matter?
So Gaia, and
I'm not saying that in a demeaning way. No, I'm saying like this is an interpretation of what these beings might be, and whether you agree or disagree with it, this is at least a perspective. So I'm looking at this completely open-minded.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I look at Gaia with as much of a slanted eye as the next person might, because I know that there's a lot of bullshit within Gaia, and I know that there's actually proof of it. Anybody that has ever looked into this fucking guy named Corey Good, talking about how he did 20 and back, and they worked on him and they gave him all kind of information, and even though it was 20 years gone, it was actually only in Earth time, like a night or something like that. Crazy shit. Anyway, he kind of outed himself whenever people started coming up to him saying, "Oh yeah, my brother, 20 and back, yeah buddy." And I guess a lot of people were like trying to grift off of his story, saying that they also experienced the same thing. And he goes, no, you fucking idiots. I made that part up. And I'm like, bro, you just outed yourself. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
Because the grifters can't keep it up forever, dude. Eventually it either kills them or they change their narrative later. Like that's a thing.
Right. And one of the more famous grifters is your boy, Billy Carson. That's not to say that Billy Carson is entirely full of shit. It's just that he mostly is. So
sure.
I just want to throw that out there.
The same could be said for Blavatsky too. Just so we're clear, like we're not just throwing shade towards the modern. Even in the past, there's been people that will come back from a trip with these crazy stories of something that they saw, they met this person and all this. But then there's like, it's not even that there's no historical documentation. Like the person they met doesn't exist. This title that this person claims to have doesn't exist. It's completely made up. But this person brings it back and convinces enough people to roll with it, and they just do. And like that's not just a Blavatsky thing.
Let me tell you, a lot of people I feel like don't understand Blavatsky in the way that it's meant to be understood. So even if you read her books and all of the people that studied under her, I'm actually reading one of her students' books now because I love that Land of the Gods book so much. People love to say, like, you know, like people like your boy Maurice Doriel. He never actually went anywhere. Even his wife said that he was a fucking crackpot, yada, yada.
Right.
Maybe he was. I don't know. But as far as Blavatsky goes, even Blavatsky will say, and she said it in the book, she goes, now, I don't know if this happened in reality, in a meditation, if I was high on something. She goes, I look at all experiences as experiences, and it's up to the initiate. And she makes that clarification. People will say like, oh, she didn't actually do it. Well, she says it out in front that it's possible that it didn't actually happen in physical reality. So you can call it a fake story. Look, it's a fucking story, whether you vibe with it or not.
This is the first time I've ever heard that about her. I thought she pretty much went to her dying breath saying that it was all real. So this is new info for me.
And look, here's the deal though. Like, that's where you get into, like, we're splitting hairs about, well, what is real? Right. And people will say, well, if it's real, it's physical, it's, you know, I can touch it, I can go there, I can talk to it, whatever, that's what's real. But it's like, all right, I can't grab Wi-Fi. You know what I mean? Like, I can't grab fucking cellular signals. I know that they exist, and there's a little bit of a way to, there's a way of measuring it. And if you were to measure, you know, what happened in your dreams, which they're now getting to a point where they're creating devices in order to be able to, like, literally like measure your dreams and document what you experienced and where you went and stuff like that, which is really like Black Mirror-esque, if I will. But that being said, if you look at it from the perspective that an experience is an experience, like, you're not somebody that dreams very often, but there are some people who are literally terrorized by nightmares, right? Like,
sure.
Like, I'm sure your kids have woken up in the middle of the night fucking crying and terrorized, right? Mm-hmm. Tell them that's not real. Like, the trauma's still there. Right? Like, you can say that it's not real. She experienced it. And that's where I'm trying to go with Blavatsky. Real, not real. What are we calling real? An experience is an experience.
Oh, look, and this isn't just me taking a stab at her. Like, like you said, Billy Carson is an example. Hell, there is Christian grifters. Like, it's isn't a faith thing or a philosophical thing. Hell, Joseph Smith founded an entire religion off of one big grift. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm throwing shade any direction here. Hell, Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes have made their careers off of this, which now they're at fucking war with each other, which is hilarious. It doesn't matter. There's grifting all the way around.
No, my point is that there's more than one way to skin a cat whenever it comes to what's real and what's not. And I was kind of just trying to shed a little bit of light on that.
But that being said, Gaia might have some questionable press releases at best.
Sure.
But like we said, this is a perspective, and the cult members may agree or disagree, but at least this is an idea of what might be going on. Now,
that being said, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people who have experienced all four of these types. right? Like whether it is on a DMT trip, whether it is in a dream, whether it is in a meditation, any kind of trance state, and you can get there. And so I know some people like to say, well, that's not real and that's just hallucinating. Teach their own. I'm not here to tell you what's real and what's not. Believe it or not, we all make up reality in our own minds. That's just the way that it is. So that being said, so it says the reptilians are a race of extraterrestrials that have been present on Earth since time immemorial. So I guess there is no time. So these beings played a crucial role in the development of humanity, influencing our civilizations and our biological and spiritual evolution. And this article will explore who the reptilians are, their origins, and how they have influenced the evolution of our species. Now, that being said, I know that there's going to be a lot of people out there and say, well, no, God created me. There was no gene splicing 20,000 years ago where they capped our telomeres, and that's all bullshit. I'm not here to say what's truth and what's not. I'm just saying these are some of the lore around who these beings are.
We're reading a Gaia article. If anybody's going to get butthurt about it, just calm down and wait for the end before we start lighting the fucking torches here.
Right. So, all right. So what are the reptilians? It says the reptilians are humanoid beings with reptilian features. Oh, no shit. Such as scaly skin, slit eyes, and an imposing physical build. These beings come from a distant star system and possess advanced abilities that surpass human capabilities in many aspects. Their physical and mental characteristics have made them central figures in many theories about the hidden history of humanity. The reptilians arrived on Earth millions of years ago and have interacted with humanity ever since. They have acted as both guides and collaborators, influencing the direction of human evolution and the development of our civilization. Their ability to shapeshift has allowed them to integrate among us and participate in key historical events, ensuring their influence on our history. Now, I will say, we all have a reptilian part of our brain. Like, that's pretty well understood, right? And so, is it really that crazy if they kind of, maybe they fucked a couple of human people? I don't know. I'm just getting weird here. Nephilim, maybe. I don't know.
I'm not saying, but there's a very valid point to be made. Yes.
Now, is this written by Matthias De Stefano? No, Gabriel Soka. All right, this Matthias.
Why do you not like that person?
No, I fucking love him. I think he's awesome.
Oh, okay.
And so I was hoping that it was written by him. This guy is like a master channeler, bro. Like, this guy is the fucking man. Whenever it comes to channeling, remote viewing, astral projection, that kind of stuff, this guy is legit.
Not like Bashar.
What do you mean?
Like, Bashar was like clearly like fake. This guy's like legit.
It's not the Bashar, and this is where people get channeling wrong. Like, all right. Whenever somebody is channeling, it's almost like people look at channelers like they do psychics. Either you're a psychic or you're not. But it's not that easy. It's not that simple. There's a scale. There's a sliding scale. There's higher vulnerability or receptibility to the message that is being inputted. But the thing is that it has to go through the filter of your own mind and using your own vocabulary. And that's really how people are channeling, right? Like, and there's many different types of channelers out there. Fuck, people say that they channeled books and songs. Michael Jackson once famously said, well, look, if I don't fucking write it down, then Prince will get it. He believed that it existed out there in the ether. It's just information that's out there. And I think that it's up to the interpreter in order to, like, that's why I think you get various different types of the same story. It's that it's interpreted through the mind and through the verbiage of the person, and it varies person to person. I think that that's really what's going on with psychics and channelers and stuff like that.
There's something to be said for that, for sure. But like, there is all kind, and for the record, again, not just throwing shade that way. Kim Clement is another one who you call it prophet, you call it channeler, whatever. I think he was a total grifter as well. Like, just so we're clear here, like Bashar, he would go into this trance-like state and be answering direction or questions directly as if the alien was channeled through him. He was just a conduit kind of thing. Got a lot of shit wrong. Same thing with Kim Clement. He was in the middle of these services, these people all praying, and he's just getting a message from the other side that's been fucking wrong. Like, you know what I mean? And it's again, not throwing shade in a certain direction, but I'm saying like this guy, Matthias De Stefano, he's been legit with it.
I believe so. And a lot of other people believe so as well. Like he's very talented. I believe he's very talented, very gifted. So it says in the second season of Initiation, available on Gaia, Matthias De Stefano delves into the role of the reptilians in human history. De Stefano describes them as guides who have significantly impacted our biological and spiritual evolution, shaping the trajectory of humanity on multiple levels. Yada, yada, yada. Let's get down to the characteristics and abilities of the reptilians. So,
hell yeah.
Their physical description is, it says, the reptilians are humanoids with scaly skin and slit eyes. Now, anybody within conspiracy lore has heard a story or two about people whose eyelids maybe blink the opposite way, you know,
right.
like a reptilian. It's not that crazy. It says their build is imposing and they possess physical strength superior to that of humans. They have mental abilities, so they have a telepathic ability that allows them to communicate without words. Their ability facilitates the transmission of knowledge and coordination among themselves.
Interesting.
Advanced technology. So the reptilian technology is highly developed, far surpassing current human technology. It includes spacecraft, free energy devices, and tools for genetic manipulation, camouflage and shapeshifting. Everybody knows the reptilians for that. They can change shape and adopt human appearances. This ability has allowed them to integrate into human society and participate in historical events without being detected. Now, that's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like, the ability to shapeshift, I don't know, man. Like, I think it's pretty fucking awesome, personally.
I mean, yes, but also it's terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause,
is that really your wife? You know, like...
Not even that. The NPC, the random face you just passed by at Walmart today. You know what I mean? Like, how do you know that that's not like a part of this whole thing?
Very well could be. And it's probably likely.
Right.
The longevity, they live extremely long lifespans. Doesn't say exactly how long. They possess ancestral knowledge that spans millions of years of history and evolution in the universe. This knowledge allows them to understand and apply advanced principles of physics and biology. They have energy manipulation, advanced healing, and all of this kind of crazy stuff. Now, you're going to hear different kinds of stories whenever it comes to the reptilians. Some people will say they're all bad. Some people will say, well, they're probably just like humans. There's some baddies, there's some goodies, and there's probably a little bit of in between, which I think is probably most likely. I don't know. And that's why, you know, whenever people are like, oh, you know, all UFOs, they're either demons or they're all, you know, good, like angelic kind of beings. I'm like, really? Because could you say that about anything? You know, is there anything that is all good or all bad? You know, like, I don't think that there is any one thing that is all good or all bad, at least in physical form.
Not in physical form, no.
And that's what that's kind of what I'm getting at. But so that is the reptilians kind of in a nutshell. Here's an interesting thing that I found. So I looked this up and I just typed in description of Nordic aliens. And this is actually, I could be crazy, but I swear this is my first time ever hearing that the Nordic aliens are often called Pleiadians. And this is right here on Google in the Google AI, so take it for what, you know, a grain of salt. But
no, I've heard this, but for sure.
That they're often called Pleiadians are a purported race of human-like extraterrestrials described in UFO lore. They are typically characterized as tall, physically attractive beings with fair skin, blue eyes, and long blonde hair, often appearing as highly evolved or benevolent space visitors who communicate telepathically, which is not that crazy considering, you know, one of our homies is a Pleiadian channeler.
Indeed.
So... And also, you want to get really weird? This is probably who Hitler was trying to make. That's the conversation when it comes to them. You also hear them, the Nordics also possibly get called the Aryan race of giants, right?
And it depends on which section of the lore of Hitler you want to go down. Because on one side, Aryan comes from what we would now call Iran. As a matter of fact, the word Iran means land of the Aryans. So Hitler found some old Zoroastrian and Persian manuscripts, read them and said, oh, clearly these are very tall, blue-eyed, blonde-haired giants that are clearly the ancestors of the Germanic people. Like, he just kind of threw his own spin on that.
Allegedly, there are stories that he actually met them as well.
Right, that's what I'm saying. There's like two sides to the lore as far as that goes. The one side is that one. The other side is that the Nazi Antarctic base, they made contact with these beings through either a portal over there or somehow, some way, the Aryan / Pleiadian / tall whites lives in Antarctica, and there was some sort of a contact made and a deal struck. Like, there's two sides to that lore.
Which is not crazy, considering... Have you gone down the rabbit hole of Oliver Tree, bro?
I have. We were going to do an episode on it, but Raven Lee is still out of town, and I'm here shooting, so, you know, it is what it is. But, yeah, at first, the conspiracies that I saw, it was some numerology, his name, and then this thing, and then this thing, all equal in the same, which, like, all right, fascinating things, not diminishing whatsoever. You know, his record label, because he just did this, and it's the same record label that this went down on, and this, and it's like... Okay, I could kind of look past that because the music industry is shitty, and like wild things do happen within the back rooms of things and deals and cuts, and like, okay, I get it. All right. But the more that I look into it, the more it's like, okay, what even was this? Like, most people did not know this dude's musical career. I knew him as a comedian that made music, not a musician that also did comedy. You know what I mean?
Well, the deeper you go, the crazier it gets with Oliver Tree. So He went on a podcast not long before he was offed, and he was describing about how he had been to Antarctica 3 different times for concerts and holding live concerts there, which I thought was kind of crazy because how many fucking people are in Antarctica, right?
But that's what he does. He goes to places with, like, he went to the Namubu tribe or something in Africa and like hung with them. These are the dudes that like wear the red and they do the high jumping and shit. And they're like, please come put on a show. He's like, fuck yeah, let's go. And like, he had to bring out all these diesel generators just to power his equipment to put on a show for these tribesmen. He just be doing that.
Well, so he gets paid, I guess, high dollar to go and perform in Antarctica 3 separate times. And
that's hilarious.
And while he's down there, you know, because you got to take a boat in order to get there because big body of water in between, you ain't getting there by car, right?
Right.
And he said that from the boat that he was on, he goes, I see why people are flat earthers because I saw the ice wall and it goes on forever. And that's not the crazy part. The crazy part is where he starts going in and saying that there were indentions inside of the ice wall that looked a lot like they would be UFO hangars.
I remember hearing him talk about that. Yeah, I've seen those clips. He did that like 2 weeks before he died, or like just a few weeks or something.
Yeah, and I'm of the belief, fuck the record label. I think they got him on that because he actually released video footage of what that looked like. And you're like, whoa, wait a second. What is this? Like, it doesn't look that crazy to me. Right? It's just like, you know, Bob Lazar with the Los Alamos thing with the UFO hangar and all that other kind of shit. People thought that he was crazy saying, oh, there's nothing going on out there in you know, parts of the New Mexico desert or wherever the fuck it was. And now you can go in there on Google Earth and, dude, there's actually, I saw this on the Bob Lazar documentary, the S4. It's fucking awesome. I highly recommend it. It's really new. It just came out like a month ago.
Hell yeah.
But in there, the guy that was running the documentary with Bob Lazar, he was able to go in on Google Earth. And on Google Earth, did you know that you can go back years to see what the terrain looked like before they updated it?
I did not.
So
new information to me.
That same shit, whenever we were talking about uncovering the UFO base on the coast of California, and then they blurred it all out, you can actually go back years to before they blurred it out and still see it. So it's kind of redundant that they would blur it out in the first place. But anyway, so they went out to this place and they indeed did, like, the story coincides that there were giant, like humongous hangars built in to the side of mountains that Bob Lazar had been talking about all the UFOs and everything that he was able to see with his own eyes, right? So like he's gotten off the hook as far as proving to be absolutely correct and not a grifter. I've always believed Bob Lazar personally. Like he doesn't seem like a bullshitter to me, but now he's been vindicated. So I think that's awesome. But anyway, so you got the Nordics, allegedly Pleiadian. So all the people that said the Pleiadian stuff is just nonsense, I'm like, well, do we just change up the word and call it Nordic and now you believe? Because they appear very similar. And I actually hypnotically regressed Electro Nick to a past life regression. And the way he was describing these beings are exactly how they're described all across Pleiadian lore. So take that with a grain of salt, but I'm just saying, I don't need a lot to believe something personally. Although I like doing a lot of research. It's not to say that I just blindly believe shit, but I believe my friends' experiences.
Absolutely.
Like I believe that you encountered a demon. Like I'm not going to call you crazy for that. That's your fucking experience.
A lot of people do, and that's fine. I get it.
To each their own.
Yeah.
So another being that was reported as being one of the 4 that they recovered via crashed UFOs,
allegedly,
is the gray alien. Okay, so this is from another one of my favorite websites that a lot of people think is crazy called medium.com. And very much like Gaia, if I'm being honest. It's kind of in the same sense, but that's my kind of shit. So
again, this is a perspective, dog.
I mean, try and find a valid website that you can convince everybody of like, oh, this is real, descriptions of gray aliens and reptilians and insectoids. Like, good luck.
Fox News, Gaia, CNN, Medium. What are we saying here? It's all just information and a perspective of a narrative. That's it.
These are all just sounds coming out of mouths of humans. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is.
Written by a man. I know. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, fucking masculinity. So, all right. The gray aliens.
Actually, was this written by a dude? I'm curious.
His name is Mike F. So, yeah, it's a guy.
Mike fuck over here. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, now I know a fair amount whenever it comes to the gray aliens. I look a lot into aliens and stuff like that. As far as the official lore, what most people believe about the gray aliens is that they're us from the future, but they can't reproduce because they've evolved past the need of needing to eat and fuck in order to be able to advance their own livelihood. And so what they're doing now is that they're essentially coming back from the future so that they can steal some of our seed so that their race doesn't die off. That's the official lore of it.
I've heard 2 sides of this one as well. I've heard that side, and then I've also heard the side that says they are humans from the future, and they are coming back to make sure that whatever cataclysm is about to happen goes according to plan. On some like Terminator 2 type shit. Like just using an example, and I'm not saying that this is the case, but just hypothetically here, the CERN super collider or whatever the fuck, it explodes and opens an interdimensional rip that sends us into a wormhole or something like that. They need that to happen so that the human race can evolve to become them, and they're making sure that it goes according to plan. Or a nuclear fallout. Name your thing. The fucking Mount St. Helens or your Yellowstone blows, whatever. And essentially they're here to make sure that whatever horrible thing has to happen, happens. I don't know.
And it could be that, but there's also another story that I don't want to leave out, and that is that they are biological droids from a higher extraterrestrial race.
Why not? Literal Terminators. Why not?
Which I've heard that before, because look, if you're trying to survey a land and survey a species that is semi-intelligent, well, I'll say that for the humans, we're probably semi-intelligent compared to the vastness of intelligence out there. If you're going to survey that land or try and get some kind of information, you're not going to go there yourself, bro. You're going to send a fucking patsy. And now these patsies are so advanced that they are literally, they've learned how to create biological droids, which is actually kind of crazy.
So it's like Star Wars Clone Wars, basically.
I've never seen Star Wars, but sure.
Okay. Let's read about it, bro. Because I mean, these are all three very valid possibilities that, depending on who you ask, you might get one of these answers, or of course, clearly demons. But like that, there's all these different versions of events. So let's see what medium's take on this is.
Look, I've been seen as an angel and a demon through the eyes of many. So, I mean, it's perspective. But that being said, the enigmatic beings known as Greys, ubiquitous in UFO lore and alien abduction reports, often described with strikingly uniform biological traits: short stature, smooth gray skin, large hairless heads, oversized black eyes, a lack of visible genitalia, and a subdued emotional presence, which that's why people think that they're robots, because they show no emotional anything, right?
Gotcha.
So taken together, these traits seem eerily consistent across decades of reports suggesting either biological adaptation to a specific set of environmental conditions or a designed morphology, possibly the result of advanced bioengineering for specialized tasks such as interstellar travel or human observation. Assuming the Greys are real and not entirely fictive projections of the human unconscious, which is probably what Carl Jung would say,
Right.
two plausible hypotheses emerge to explain their form and function. Number one, they evolved on a low-light, low-gravity world, potentially living in subterranean cave networks, which is why they would take on that form. Or, number two, they are bioengineered beings precisely adapted to long-term survival in spacecraft. These explanations are not mutually exclusive. One might even imagine that Greys evolved naturally in such an environment, but were later modified or standardized for specific off-world roles. What's interesting about this is that the hangar that allegedly doesn't exist, but has been proven to exist via Bob Lazar and being able to manipulate Google Earth, Bob Lazar was able to go up into the inside of a craft whenever he was working there, right? Over at Los Alamos. Whenever he was able to go in one, because his job entirely was to try and reverse engineer and try and figure out what these how are these parts able to manipulate gravity, and how are they able to suspend themselves, and how are they able to go without giving off any kind of propulsion and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
Whenever he went up there, one strange thing, I mean, it's all strange, but one of the strangest things is that he said that there were 3 little chairs. And these chairs were not separate. They were like built into the craft. Like you couldn't take them out. And because it was, the way he said it is that the entire craft was almost made out of one piece of metal. Like it was molded from one piece of metal, that the form was the form. It's like, imagine the cement is all one form and it makes up all of your furniture. Like you can't remove it. Right?
Right.
And that's what he was saying, is that these 3 chairs were embedded into the floor of the UFO. And he said these chairs were so fucking small, you couldn't fit one ass cheek on there. Like he tried sitting down in one and he goes, you can't. Well, there were stories that come out on this from, some people might say weird sources.
Fair.
But I guess people who have been abducted have been able to understand the source of those chairs, who's sitting in them, how does the craft fly, and stuff like that. People who have been abducted, they say that they know exactly how it works. Now, one of the strange things that Bob Lazar explained as far as those chairs is that, imagine, so there's three little chairs, right? Almost like for little kids. Like my son's 3, he would probably fit in there, right?
Okay.
But in front of one of the chairs was like this giant like pole. And it looked like, why would this pole just be in front of a chair? Like you wouldn't be able to see anything, right?
Okay.
Well, according to certain people who have been abducted, they said that is the person, that's essentially like the captain of the ship. Like the captain will sit in the center chair where the pole is directly in front of them. And all they got to do is touch the pole, and an entire screen that goes all the way around the UFO will become visible only to the person sitting in that chair holding that pole, right? So they can see what's on the outside of the craft. It almost like it turns translucent only to the person that's holding it. which I thought, holy shit, that's crazy, right? Because how many people have talked about like seeing screens and TVs and like weird shit on psychedelics, right? Like Danny Goler is one of them. So that kind of checks out, at least from that angle. So, yeah, I mean, crazy technology. Are they biological droids? Are they us from the future? Who knows? But the tech that they have is far more advanced than what the fuck we got. If the stories are true. Right. But I mean, hey, I believe Bob Lazar, so I accept it as truth. Okay. So anyhow, the evolutionary path, the low light, low gravity, subterranean origin, biologically speaking, the large black eyes of the Greys, often described as almond-shaped and entirely dark, immediately suggest adaptation to very low light environments. It's like Bane, you know, like you only trained in the dark. I grew up in this bullshit, you know, kind of thing. So it says this is a well-documented evolutionary pattern on Earth. Nocturnal and subterranean animals such as owls, tarsiers, whatever the fuck that is, or cave-dwelling fish often evolve enlarged ocular structures to maximize photon capture. So it would make sense if they kind of live underground or they live in caves or something like that. They don't have access to a whole lot of sunlight. Of course,
underwater.
Or underwater. Yeah, I mean, the depths of the ocean is dark as fucking the darkest thing you'll ever see.
This all checks out to me.
So the lack of visible sclera, which is the white of the human eye. Is that how you say it? Sclera?
I guess.
Wow, I didn't even know there was a name for it. I just called it the white.
I knew there was, but I don't think I've ever actually looked into what it's called. So yeah, okay.
What is it called whenever it's not the white with those people that have like yellow eyes? That always...
like jaundice. No. I mean, like, I know what your pupil is. I know what your iris is. But the white part of the eyeball, I have actually never looked into what that's called. So that's a thing we know now.
So the sclera.
Sclera.
The white of the human eye. And
that sounds like something a white woman would name her daughter.
Probably.
Oh, this is my daughter Sclera. You know, I could see it.
So the lack of the visible white of the eye and extreme dark pigmentation or lens-like coverings on Gray's eyes may serve to reduce glare, enhance light absorption, or filter radiation, all of which would be essential in dimly lit environments. Their gray pigmentless skin further supports this hypothesis. In the absence of ultraviolet light, such as in caves or beneath a dense, clouded atmosphere, there is little evolutionary incentive to maintain melanin or colorful skin pigmentation. Depigmentation and hairlessness often emerge in such stable, non-variable ecosystems. Indeed, the Greys resemble a biological convergence between naked mole rats, deep-sea creatures, and fetal humans.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds weird, but it doesn't sound wrong.
I mean, but human skin is also made to react to sunlight. You know what I mean? And if their skin was designed without that function,
well, you wouldn't need any pigmentation then, you know?
Right, exactly.
So indeed, the Greys resemble a biological convergence. Okay, I read that. These parallels indicate a species that may have evolved in cave networks or underground tunnels, perhaps on a tidally locked planet where the surface is divided into permanent day and night hemispheres, with life flourishing only along the narrow twilight zone. In such a world, caves might be the only thermally stable zones, safe from radiation on the day side and freezing temperatures on the night side. It's like the desert, dude.
Wow.
You know? So yeah, I mean, a lot of people, we've all heard the stories of the Greys, and I mean, people talk about being abducted by Greys. People talk about being visited. Dude, some people wake up in the middle of the night and they hear like little children's footsteps in their rooms or in their hallways and stuff like that. Crazy stories, dude. I mean, and look, if it's one or two stories, you're like, okay, get fucked, right? Like, it's cool. Right. You have a vivid imagination, whatever. But whenever there's thousands of stories, I'm like, okay, what's really happening here?
So this is the type of alien, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, where we hear about the cattle mutilations, and in reality, it's because they can't eat, so they have to rub the essence or blood and juice of the dead cow on their skin to eat that way. Is that the Greys?
That could be true. You know what? I've been meaning to look into cattle mutilations, and unfortunately, a lot of them are faked.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Farmers are trying to get the insurance policies and stuff like that. Same goes for the crop circles. However,
Yes.
it doesn't mean that every crop circle and every cattle mutilation is bullshit.
No, it does not. No, it does not. As a matter of fact, there's more than enough evidence to suggest that some of those crop circles are authentic. The problem is that the fakes are so multiple, Jesus Christ, there's so many of them that it outweighs the true ones. Same with the cattle mutilations. Because like, that's the thing. And a cow is an investment. That's thousands of dollars worth of an investment.
Oh, yeah.
And a farmer could easily take a chainsaw blade, and there's an attachment you can get to put that bitch on a weed eater and make it seem like your cow just got fucked up by a wolf up north or something like that. And if the government won't pay, maybe the UFO community will. Like that is absolutely a thing. But that doesn't mean that all the mutilations are easily presented. I'll put it like that.
Yeah, and as far as even the crop circles go, a good telltale to be able to see if it's been faked or not is, so it usually happens like within wheat, I think, like out in the wheat
Don't
fields.
want the nodes?
Yeah, it's like the little knuckles.
Yep.
So usually what happens is if it's fake, the knuckles are bent and the crops are destroyed. Like they're not going to grow, right? But with the alleged real ones, the knuckles of the stalk of wheat are never bent. Like they're just kind of laid down. And that way they're not destroying the crops. They're just like showing some kind of indentation. And maybe, you know, some people will say you look at the crop circles, you look at the symbols, and you might not understand it consciously, but maybe there's some kind of subconscious coding that is going on. Who knows? But I mean, look, it has to be for a reason, right? And
it has to be.
It might not even be for us. I think that's what a lot of people kind of like glaze over. We think that everything's about us, but could it just be a marker of like, all right, these aliens were here, they left this message, so they claimed that territory. I don't know, you know, like
this
it's
is their version of like gang tags.
No, I mean, it's kind of like just like dropping a pin, you know, on Google Maps or Apple Maps or anything like that. You know, maybe it's like the same thing.
It's very possibly the same thing. I don't see why not.
I mean, another thing could be, I don't know, could that be seen as like a portal? Are they creating some kind of portal, an interdimensional portal of sorts? Because people, including, rest in peace, beautiful heart, beautiful soul, my homegirl, Dolores Cannon, she went out and visited a lot of these allegedly real crop circles. And even from a helicopter just hovering above, supposedly the electricity, you can feel it in the air. Like there's some sort of like radiation or electrical leave behind of a resonance that people are able to, you know, feel. Some people, I guess, are more prone to be able to feel certain frequencies. Some people, you know, I don't know. Weird shit whenever it's involving crop circles. But anyway, that's your grays. Some people see them as little demons. Some people say that they've been abducted by them. Shout out to Karen Wilkerson. We've had her on the show here a time or two. And she said, no, fuck these guys. They have been taking me. They've been abducting me and a bunch of other women because they're putting us down and like, I don't even know a good way to say it, but basically they've been taking her to almost use her as a womb to be able to create like these hybrid beings. Yep.
And they have removed the child from her womb all in abduction. It's like a wild story.
Hundreds of times, she says. And so she's been going on the panel with all the UFO kind of stuff, and she's one of those people that says aliens are demons. Now, if I had experiences like that, I'd probably say the same fucking thing.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
You know, if I only met one human and this one human was despicable to me, you know, and like, you know, cussed me out and beat me up and, you know, maybe raped me or something worse, then I would probably be like, you know what, fuck the humans, I'm out of here. Let me go on to the next planet, right? Like, it's probably easy to come to that conclusion whenever that's the experience that you've had.
We ain't on YouTube, dog. You can say raped. You don't have to keep it YouTube friendly, but yeah, I agree. Who's to say? Now, again, me and you have talked many times about our opinions on the aliens and what we think they are, but especially for somebody like Karen, I don't, who can tell her that her story is crazy? Really?
I've actually, I've molded my beliefs about what aliens are.
Have you?
Yeah. I used to say that I didn't necessarily believe in the biological aliens. I believe that they were all kind of interdimensional beings.
Sure.
My where I'm at on that now, I kind of just believe it all. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, I believe
So you're
in
like
the
me now.
interdimensional. I believe in the physical. I believe that maybe they could be coming from different planets. Maybe they could be coming from different star systems. Don't get me wrong. I'm still hung up on, what planets are and what stars are and all this kind of stuff. I'm not exactly sure on that because I haven't been there. I can't prove it. You got to believe it one way or another, right? But if the math maths, then sure, right?
But that doesn't negate the possibility of interdimensional beings that are also making their contact with us. Like, these things are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, I think that why wouldn't there be? Look, the universe is a vast, vast place, and it's existed
It's an infinite place, dog.
It has existed for literal billions and billions of years. Why wouldn't there be some kind of, intelligent species that's been here a lot longer than us, that have been able to advance at a much higher rate than us? Dude, just look at the advancement that we've had in the last 30 years. I mean, bring an iPhone to my dad back in fucking 1980. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's alien. That's crazy. What you mean you can, what is FaceTime? Imagine you have literally every single book in your pocket that's ever been written.
Not even all the way back. You remember that song by Flowbots? I can ride my bike with no handlebars.
Yeah, dude.
In that song, he even says, and I can see your face on the telephone. That song was written pre-FaceTime. That was like this crazy new idea that you could call somebody and just like see their face and like talk to them via video call from your phone. That was fucking mind blowing.
Dude, that was another Simpsons prophecy too. They made that exact episode like back in the 90s.
I believe it. But like, yeah, to your point, like, we've had such a crazy uptick in creativity, in engineering, in manufacturing, and just technology as a whole, 100%. But this is why I have said this for forever. And this is also why I don't think it negates any religious text, not just Christianity, any of them. Because the only one that I'm hung up on that I don't get down with is the time traveling human bit. And it's not because I don't believe that time travel may not be possible one day. It's just there's so many mental hoops you have to jump through for that one to make sense. Interdimensional beings, interplanetary beings, and spiritual beings, these are very easy for me to comprehend. You know what I mean? And I'm not negating that there's a possibility they're time traveling humans, but I'm like, that's the same way you are right now is how I've always been. There can be multiple things all happening at the exact same time, and they don't negate each other. As a matter of fact, they may have to exist to make the other ones make sense too. Who knows? This shit's complex. There's levels to this shit.
Yeah, and I think that we don't know 1% of all the shit that is going on out there as even possible, let alone has happened or hasn't happened, right? Like, I think that our brains are not even fully capable of comprehending such concepts of advanced civilizations from a billion years ago that may be still existing on a star far, far away, right? Like, I think that, our minds are barely capable of comprehending this fucking reality, let alone billions of light years, from now.
I fully agree. And for my own religious reasons, that's why I think we only got a certain type of thing given to us. But you could take that to even the educational side of it. I would argue that right now, Jonathan, you and I know, or at least have had exposure to, so many different things that, like, if we were back in the 1500s, we would be seen as like some sort of fucking doctors in some king's court somewhere with all the random shit that we know. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe, but then we would get asked how does Wi-Fi work, and we'd be like,
Oh, no. I'm not even talking about that. Just basics as far as like hygiene, how to cook, boiling water to not let it kill you. Like the very basics of shit that you and I just like know just from living in today's world. Cut to back then, we would have been seen as some sort of fucking geniuses and shit. Not just technology wise, but like it blows my mind. And we have all of this knowledge at our fingertips right now. You can watch a YouTube video about anything. You could look up a book about anything you want. But so many people are just stuck in the rut of our current modern everyday life. Your 9 to 5, your T-ball dance, and then home. And then it's a whole thing that it's like, man, we have so much that we can just get into right now.
oh yeah, I mean, it's never ending, which you reminded me of the religious thing. I never finished telling that story earlier about the disclosure day part about the nuns.
Oh yeah.
So she goes off and she's really starting to question reality after seeing videos of these aliens, right? And this is the girlfriend of the guy that, you know, was the hacker or whatever for the UFO stuff.
Right.
So she calls up her nun friend who's still in the nunnery, still a believer, doing the whole thing. And she goes, what would happen to your beliefs if you knew for a fact that there were aliens from other places? What would that do? And the nun just says with a smile on her face, which I thought was, you know, a beautiful moment. The nun goes, if you remember in the Bible, it says that God created humans here on earth. Didn't talk about all the other places. It specifically mentioned on earth.
I have been saying this for years. Yes, absolutely.
But for some reason, you know, beings from any other planet are demons. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Even like, do people read? Is there no such thing as reading anymore?
This is my point. And it's not that it doesn't say it in the Bible, so it can't be real. Bro, the Bible didn't teach us physics or thermodynamics, but it's real. That's not the point of the Bible. The Bible is not to teach us the entire history of the planet of Mars and Saturn and a galaxy 2 away from us. That's not what it is. That was the word given to humans that live on Earth to know how to live the best human life on Earth that you can. What does that mean? That Jesus went to these other planets? I don't fucking know. Maybe these planets never had their fall from grace. They're still in their Garden of Eden phase. They've never been introduced to sin. Maybe they had their fall from grace so far long ago that Jesus had to make a couple of appearances. Like, I don't fucking know. I'm not going to claim to. But I also don't take that as an immediate negation of any religious faith.
Also, Jesus was a figure, you know, man, like full man and full God according to Christianity, right?
For sure.
So if Jesus was full man and full God, then, you know, and according to the times, there was a lot of sacrifice and all that other shit back then. The way in which God, according to Christianity, the way in which God would portray the realness would be by like through the means of which the people would understand back in those times, which would be sacrifice and saving and, you know, godhood and stuff like that. Look, like
there's some levels, but okay, I'm with you.
Like imagine another planet where there was never such a thing as sacrifice. That message wouldn't ride, right? It would make no sense. Right. But for our people, we were very fucking savage-like and sacrificing firstborns and sacrificing animals to appease the gods and stuff like that. So God was all, hey, I got a story that trumps all your fucking sacrifice stories. I'm gonna send down myself and sacrifice myself for myself to myself to show you that you don't need to sacrifice anymore, kind of thing. And that was a story that could be properly understood by the people of the time. I think.
I mean, there's some levels you miss, but I mean, you're about on as far as like the chain of events goes, essentially. But yeah, like what you're saying is to another planet, sacrificing anything, which that's not just a Christian thing. Most religions get down with sacrifice in some way, shape, or form. So like to humans, that seems like obvious. To them, that might be like, wait, you're just like, you're killing just other life? Just because, but then the same thing could be said about like hunting or industrial agriculture. So you're just like raising these cows and you chain them down as babies so they can never stand up, and then you kill this baby cow and you call it veal. Like that's a thing that you do. Like there's all kinds of things that we might do that might seem barbaric to them, and vice versa. I don't know.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be different meanings everywhere. And so, like, you know, if God was to try and portray a similar story on another planet where sacrifice doesn't necessarily make any sense, maybe the thing that the people of the time that they were doing, maybe they would.
There's a million things. It could be anything. It might be some shit that we've never even considered because we don't know how the fuck their bodies are made up. You know, like, but that's the thing. They may not have any god or deity that they worship or religion, or there's no set understanding as of this time, but that doesn't negate the possibility that that's real, and that also doesn't negate a divine creator. None of these negate anything.
And also, like, Jesus was the medium to God, if you really think about it. Like, so, you know, if you're trying to portray a message to the people of to humans, then the best way to portray a message to humans would be by another human.
Well, I mean, yeah, they tried. God sent angels down. Humans always freaked out. Then he sent prophets to speak on his behalf, and the people wouldn't listen to them. So he's like, fine, fuck it. I have to do this now. But yeah, now Jesus, to say it was a medium, that's a bit of a misnomer, but I see your point. I absolutely see where you're going with that for sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, I say medium as in, like, within tarot.
You're not trying to be blasphemous. I get what you mean, like, for sure.
A medium as in, like, within tarot, the magician is called the medium between worlds. And that's why within tarot, he has one hand up and one hand down, also seen on the Baphomet, but people kind of take that out of context. The one hand up and the one hand down is often seen as the medium, the connector of almost like a conduit.
No, I hear you.
A conduit between, you know, heaven and earth. You're trying to bring down from heaven down to earth, and so you have the one hand up and the one hand down. That's what that symbol's actually for.
I hear you. My only, I guess, critique of that would be, I don't think Jesus was the medium. I think that his disciples were, his apostles, the ones that after he died went out and spread that message. I feel like they were a conduit because Jesus was God in flesh. So, like, pretty much they walked with the human embodiment of God, heard his voice, and, like, got his message direct. So, to your point, the medium in that scenario, I would just say would be the apostles. But again, I completely hear your meaning, for sure.
You could say that popes are the medium, right? Like,
the Catholics will believe that, sure.
Like, that kind of, that's what I mean by that.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, back to the story. You have, and we only went there, not necessarily to get religious, but for all the people that are like, aliens are demons and anything that comes here is not of God. No, incorrect. That's not necessarily the story.
Maybe, but I just personally don't believe that. And I do believe in demons.
It's not to say that demons don't exist. I mean,
right.
Teach their own, whatever your beliefs are. But
I've seen a demon and I haven't seen any of these that fit that description. I'll put it like that. You do what you want with your information, you know?
But according to your experience, that demon didn't come down in a fucking spaceship.
No, it did not.
Okay, and that's
why the whole 3-Eye Atlas thing fucking killed me, because I had people, not going to name names, love you all, friends of the show, that truly believe that the 3-Eye Atlas was the spacecraft full of demons, and when it got here, the demons were going to just wreak havoc. And I'm like, real quick, since when do demons need a craft? Can't they just pop in and out? Like, why would they need a ship? Because it's a part of the deception. I'm like, all right, if you say so, cool.
I mean, that sounds like Avi Loeb fanfic.
That's something. That is a whole thing that some people believe. Anyway.
I mean, and look, I don't know what the fuck to believe about 3-Eye Atlas. It's never given me any reason to believe that it was anything other than some shit floating out in space.
You heard we got another one coming?
Is it 4-Eye Atlas now?
I don't think that it's an intergalactic, so it's not going to be an eye, but there is another meteor that's huge. It's like the size of like 3 Empire State Buildings that's going to be passing by Earth. We're not at risk of like getting hit by any means, but it will be a thing that passes by. I don't know. I just heard that yesterday.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure people will come up with some theories for that one.
Oh, yeah. Continuing.
So back to the Greys. They have facial minimalism and morphological variance among the Greys. So they're not necessarily always the same, but I mean, a Grey is a Grey. So it says across decades of witness reports, a consistent pattern emerges regarding the mouths, noses, and ears of the Greys. These features are either highly reduced or nearly absent. Most commonly, the mouth is described as a narrow slit, lacking lips, teeth, or any muscular movement, and rarely, if ever, used for speech. Communication with witnesses is almost always reported as telepathic, reinforcing the impression that the mouth is a vestigial remnant, a symbolic carryover rather than a functional organ, which, if they evolved from us, would make sense, right? Like, if you don't use your mouth for eating or talking or sucking or whatever you do with your mouth, it's like, why, of course it's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller because it has no use.
If you don't use it, you lose it, dog. Is the fact.
That's what they say. So communication, similarly, the nose appears only as two small holes or dots without a protruding bridge or nostrils capable of movement. No breathing, sniffing, or olfactory behavior is reported. Olfactory behavior. So ears are typically missing altogether, replaced in some cases by small indentations on the sides of the head, but most often completely absent. Despite this, Greys are still perceived to hear and respond to auditory cues, suggesting non-traditional sensory mechanisms or enhanced internal processing that bypasses typical organ structures. That being said, I interviewed the winner of the 2025 Psy Games, which is crazy as fuck. Shout out to Ryan Davian. Amazing. I mean, the things that go on with the mind sight. I have one of the it's called Mindfolds, but
I know what you're talking about.
And people, I mean, they are literally layers on top of layers on top of layers, covering their eyes so that there is literally nothing that could come in. And they always talk about, like, whenever you start to get good at it, a tiny little dot, almost like a pinhole into the universe, starts to appear, of just light starts to come in. And then the more you focus on it, the more you're able to perceive your environment literally without your eyes. Right. And like, I believe that we all have this capability. It's probably just like a muscle. You got to work at it and, make it bigger and stuff like that. But people, I mean, dude, they are doing this with totally blind people. They're teaching blind people how to see without their eyes using different faculties that the body uses to pick up on information, right? Yeah. So, like, it's said that your eyes aren't the only thing that see for you. Like, your ears can help you bring into an image. Your intuition, if you want to, use that. And literally everything can start to paint a picture. If you've ever seen Daredevil, this is how Daredevil does it. Daredevil's blind, but he was able to use all of his other faculties and all of his other senses to bring the picture clearly. I mean, has no use of his fucking eyes, but is able to do it. Now, I know that's just a comic book, but that's an example.
No, but there are people that have developed in the same way, dude. There's that one kid who, like, you'll see people, blind people, like, tap the stick, and that's how they kind of like sound their way around or hear their way around. There's that one kid that has started clicking with his mouth, and he's using that to get through life. And like, you'll see him shoot basketball and ride his bike, and he's just like doing a little like with his mouth and
just
hearing
sonar.
that.
It's like sonar.
That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah. So there's more than one way to skin a cat. And so yeah, it says the graph below compares these features across 4 commonly reported Grey variants, revealing important distinctions in morphology that may reflect differing functions, origins, or degrees of artificial modification. Short Greys are the most frequently described and are often portrayed as biological drones or workers. They are around 3.5 to 4.5 feet tall, with extremely minimal facial features, and are consistently uniform in appearance and behavior. Their near total absence of ears and vestigial mouths align with the idea that they are optimized for obedience, efficiency, and possibly limited sensory input, which is why you get like, are they like little biological slaves kind of deal, right?
I mean, it sounds like the description. You ever seen American Dad?
Yeah.
So basically Roger without a mouth.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm sure everybody, in that family of American Dad would probably prefer Roger didn't have a fucking mouth, but
yeah, for sure. There wouldn't be a show, but like for sure.
But that's kind of the point. If you're using them for obedience, you don't need no fucking lip. You know what I'm saying? Get in line, do your fucking job, and I don't want to hear it. Well, yeah, by the way, I can't hear it because you ain't got no damn mouth. That's the way I made you. So then there's tall grays, sometimes referred to as commanders or overseers, and they stand between 6 and 7 feet tall. So you see a tall gray, you know you in the presence of your lordship, right?
The boss. Yeah.
And they're often described as more cognitively advanced or authoritative. Their facial features, while still subdued, are slightly more developed, suggesting greater individualization or a higher optional tier. Witnesses frequently describe these beings as more communicative, more intelligent, and occasionally more emotionally aware, though still profoundly alien in demeanor. Could you imagine, dude?
I don't even know what you mean profoundly alien in demeanor. What is alien, like the movies? Like, what am I comparing this against, you know?
Profoundly alien in demeanor. It's like, I don't know.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what is the alien demeanor? Do they waddle? Do they just kind of poke things?
I mean, maybe they fucking walk with, like, maybe they're like,
I don't know,
how,
dude.
like, our knees bend forward. Maybe their knees bend the other way.
Like
That'd
a fucking stork, dude, or an eaglet?
That'd be pretty fucking alien.
That would be weird.
I saw a movie like that. I can't remember which movie that was, where the knees bent the other way. They were the aliens. Anyway.
Rick and Morty?
No, it was like a real, like, alien. It wasn't a cartoon. But it says hybrid grays are a more complex category believed by many abductees and researchers to represent genetic combinations of gray and human DNA, which would make sense if that's what they're doing here. These beings are typically reported to look more human-like, with more expressive mouths, visible noses, and sometimes even ears, though still within the uncanny boundaries of alien appearance. The purpose of such hybrids is often speculated to involve genetic experimentation, cross-species reproduction, or efforts to bridge the cognitive and emotional gap between grays and humans. Their appearance in reports often coincides with narratives involving reproduction, emotional transfer, and caretaking roles. And finally, the insectoid or Draco types are the most divergent and least frequently encountered, which is exactly what that guy was saying.
Wait, the Draco types I thought was the reptilians.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, supposedly
they're saying insect.
Well, no, it says the insectoid or Draco types.
Oh, types. Okay. So these are not the same thing. I got you.
Yeah, I think so. But it's exactly what that Dr. Eric was saying earlier, whenever he mentioned the two most common would be the Greys and the Nordics. And that's exactly what this article is saying too. So I don't know, maybe he read the same article, or maybe there's some truth to this. I don't know. But it says, finally, the insectoid or Draco types are the most divergent and least frequently encountered, described as towering mantis-like, reptilian, or lizard-like. These beings are often interpreted as ancient, hierarchical, or even priest-like entities. Their facial features vary but remain minimalist, often featuring fixed expressions, non-human mandibles, or reptilian ridges rather than human facial structures. These beings are sometimes reported to oversee the other Greys or to be involved in ritualistic or observational functions, adding another layer of speculation about an internal hierarchy or caste system. So that's what I've always heard too, that, you know, that they're essentially little droids, or they're little slaves to the insectoids or to the reptilians, which, I mean, makes sense, especially if they're known as the more like the kings and queens as opposed to the paupers of the rest of the alien race. It says the facial minimalism across these types reinforces the idea that gray beings, whether naturally evolved or synthetically constructed, are not emotionally expressive in human terms and may not rely on traditional sensory inputs. The morphological differences among the variants, however, suggest specialization, functional distinction, and perhaps even hybridization across biological and artificial boundaries. Each variant may reflect a different role, origin, or level of agency, offering a glimpse into a civilization or system that operates not as a single species, but as a technologically tiered ecological complex, with the Greys serving multiple interconnected purposes within it. And obviously they would. If there's short Greys, there's tall Greys, there's hybrid Greys, and then you have their fucking masters who are really running the shit. So I guess out of the 4 confirmed types, if you stumble across a mantis or an insectoid or some kind of reptile, you know that you're I don't know. I would imagine that's probably the scariest.
I would think pretty much all of them would be scary to.
I was gonna say
that
I was gonna say you know that you're fucked, but not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but at the same time, like I think that people, because of media, have gotten into this thing where it's like, man, I would love to meet an alien. And I'm not saying that there's not a small part of me that also falls into that category, but like maybe not. Like maybe not, you know? It's very possible that you would meet one of these aliens and they'd be like, oh, dinner, cool. Or a new subject to probe. Or maybe they would try to give you the secrets to the universe. I don't know. But it's like you can't negate one option without also acknowledging the other.
I, lately, and maybe it's just because I'm losing my mind, which that's been gone for quite some time.
Welcome to the club, brother.
I swear I have been like, I feel like I'm in the presence of aliens whenever I'm getting ready to go to sleep at night, dude. Like, and that's kind of crazy, but I feel like there's like I don't know, some kind of like energetic differentiation that I can tell the difference. And I don't know, maybe somebody turned on a light switch and there's an electrical surge. I have no idea. But it does make you wonder, especially if like the vibe changes. I don't know if you pick up on that kind of shit, but like, it's almost like the air gets a little cooler. Maybe the sound starts going down a little bit, and there's just something eerie.
It very well might be a extraterrestrial. It might be an ethereal being or a spirit or something. Like there's so many possibilities of what that could be. But that's the thing. We're learning more, good cult members, about the aliens with this quote unquote disclosure that the Department of War has released. But I gotta be honest with you, there's been only a handful of things within it that I hadn't seen before or heard of before. The majority of it, I didn't really answer a whole lot of the questions that I personally have.
I know. Well, I mean, you just got to do what they told you not to do back in COVID times and do your own research, you know?
Which is what we are doing here. So
that's what we're doing. All right. So lastly, but certainly not leastly, these are the kings of the hill. If we are really getting into it, I think probably even above the reptilians are the mantis insectoids. Now, when
you think they're the ones running the roost, dude?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right.
I get that feeling. I've heard differing stories, but whenever you hear about what they're able to do, bro, like it far exceeds what the fucking reptilians are able to do, dude. Like the reptilians are still like, you know, like they're still a battling race. And it's almost like the mantis and the insectoids are like, we've evolved from such nonsense. You know, like that's the vibe I get from them. So the praying mantis aliens, the mysterious insectoid and extraterrestrial race. This is another
which
article
arguably the most terrifying. Like, let's be honest. Like, objectively speaking, a man-sized praying mantis would be fucking terrifying.
Oh yeah, and they're usually said to be like 7 or 8, 9 feet tall, bro. So that
even worse. Anyway, let's read about them.
If you're into Pokemon, this kind of reminds me of Scyther a little bit. You know what I mean?
100% dog.
Could you imagine just walking up next to fucking Scyther? Be like, where's my Pokeball? Damn it, I want you.
Bro, could you imagine just walking through a waist high grass field? Next thing you know, you have fucking Scythe chasing you with razor sharp arms and shit, and you're like, let me throw this ball at you and hope for the best. Get fucked. Get fucked.
I mean, they are hard to catch in the game, so that kind of checks out.
And this thing may not get caught. So now it's going to be pissed off you just try capturing it as it's already able to outrun you. And that bitch can fly. So like, yeah, let's just try again. Like, bro, what?
Yeah, good luck sending your Pidgey out to defend you. You know what I'm saying?
You know what
Get
like,
fucked.
what are we talking about here, dude? Anyway, all right, sorry. Tangent, moving on.
Pokemon dorks over here. Proudly.
Proudly.
So, mantis aliens, also known as praying mantis aliens, are perhaps the most mysterious extraterrestrial creature described in modern contact reports. By the way, just for a second, before we even get into this, if you've ever studied the praying mantis,
Like Kung Fu style?
they're pretty small, right? But they even say that if those things were our size, they would definitely run the world. Like, they're so lethal in everything that they do.
Oh, they're fucking vicious. They are absolutely vicious.
Yeah, so thank God we got the small version on this planet. These beings appear in numerous alien encounter accounts, with contactees often waking in the dead of night to find tall insectoid figures looming beside their fucking beds. Imagine. I'd almost prefer a demon. You know, like, goddamn.
Yo, that absolutely not.
So while the mantis is not frequently reported as the Greys or the Nordics, it holds an important and unsettling role in many alien abduction narratives and spiritual contact experiences. Some researchers have even proposed that mantids could represent an early form of intelligent life that once evolved on Earth, a hypothesis suggesting a hidden chapter of human evolution. Others view them as an advanced mantis race originating from distant star systems, weaving them into the same cosmic lore that includes the Greys and the reptilians. Whatever their origin, the stories share a consistent fascination with their otherworldly appearance, telepathic abilities, and the powerful emotional impact they leave on witnesses. It's almost like Scyther and Alakazam had a baby. You know what I mean? That's what I kind of get here. These accounts raise questions about our place in the universe. Are mantis beings ancient overseers, benevolent teachers, or enigmatic visitors with motives beyond our understanding? So here we go. The mythology and ancient connections. Insect beings appear within mythologies throughout the world, including Native American and African folklore. The Khoisan tribe of Africa specifically regards the mantis as the first living creature on Earth. Oh, didn't know that.
Interesting.
According to their legends, this primal figure granted life to animals and humans, invented language to help early people communicate, brought fire to humankind, created the moon, hurling a gallbladder into the night sky to guide hunters. All right, that's pretty awesome.
That's wild. I've never heard of this tribe before.
Me neither, but I like it. So insects embody a quality of otherness in their demeanor and appearance, and this lack of mammalian attributes tends to alienate and upset human beings, a reaction that has led humans to kill insects despite their ecological importance. That is true. We just be disregarding insects.
We do a lot because we well, I can't speak to everywhere. Some places just don't have them. Dude,
Louisiana?
Oregon doesn't have them, dog. Like, that's why these people are walking around barefoot. They don't have ants. Like, that doesn't exist in these people's region of the world. Mosquitoes, we would call them gnats in Louisiana, dog. Like, it's ridiculous. Louisiana, yeah, the entire wildlife is trying to kill you. But I heard so many people say Louisiana is the Australia of America. And you know what? I like that. I'm good with it.
You can't even let your little ones play outside in Louisiana because a mosquito will just fucking pick your kid up and carry it away to Neverland. Like, that's how
take it away, dog.
Huge they are out here.
Mm-hmm.
So the praying mantis stands apart as the most human-like arthropod, yet it still inspires a deep instinctive discomfort. Yeah, look at him, dude.
What part of that is human-like that it has two eyes? That it has a head and a neck?
Well, it has like legs in the torso. So
Yeah, I guess, but shit, I've never seen a praying mantis and thought, that kind of looks like a dude.
So could this human reaction explain the common experience of paralysis that mantis beings induce when contacting Earthlings? The possibility of paralysis as a precautionary measure against the overwhelming human urge to destroy the other cannot be discounted. So there are origin theories.
Okay.
The true origin of mantis aliens remains an open mystery. Researchers and experiencers propose a range of possibilities, each adding layers to the broader extraterrestrial narrative. So there's the interstellar hypothesis. Many accounts place them in distant star systems such as Draco or Orion. In this view, the Mantis race works alongside the reptilians, forming part of a far-reaching cosmic alliance that wields advanced technology and subtle influence over Earth. Why not? There's the ancient Earth hypothesis. A smaller group of theorists speculate that mantids could represent an early branch of intelligent life native to our own planet, an evolutionary path that diverged long before humans appeared and perhaps resurfaced as a hidden species or interdimensional visitor. Okay, that's pretty valid.
Well,
then there's the hybrid perspectives that some experiencers suggest that the beings may move between physical and non-physical realms, blurring the line between extraterrestrial travelers and spiritual entities. As I was talking about earlier, when anybody goes into some kind of trance state for some reason, and that's why you always hear like, and this is the crazy part too, whether it is like sleep paralysis or you're seeing them at night and the same like Karen Wilkerson story where she only ever saw them as she was about to fall asleep or as she was asleep and they woke her up. And the thing about that is that whenever you're about to fall asleep, that is the most like crazy time in a human's life. Like
that's your theta, correct?
That's your theta, yeah. And so that is a crazy thing because that's exactly where channelers and meditators and psychedelics will take you, is to that trance state, because that is like, it is only in that theta trance state, or some people will say it's the gamma state, which they're very similarly related, that for some reason reality starts to get a little bit more fluid. You know what I mean? Like, it's not so construct anymore. It's 1 foot in the dream world, 1 foot in the dream world, 1 foot in the real world. And so I think that is exactly when these beings would appear to us, or that is exactly when we would have access to be able to see these beings. Because if they're vibrating on some kind of other fucking dimension, and that is like maybe a higher frequency than that of the third dimension, then the best way for us to be able to come in contact with them would be whenever we're in that trance state. Like,
I mean,
that's
you
lucid.
yourself, you just said that whenever you're trying to go to sleep is whenever you feel like something is there. So, I mean, we're having the same conversation here.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's, that's whenever shit starts to get weird, dude. So
Absolutely.
What else do we got here? So it says, while concrete evidence remains elusive, these ideas contribute to the intriguing and complex narrative surrounding mantis aliens and their place in the broader extraterrestrial landscape. The Iranian petroglyph.
So we got a Zoroastrian reference to an ancient mantis-type alien?
Well, a remarkable archaeological find in Iran adds a striking visual layer to the lore of mantis beings. Between 2017 and 2018, a joint team of entomologists and archaeologists documented a unique rock carving at the Temara site in central Iran. Hold on, let's look this up.
Now, we do need to be sure that we understand, yes, that means that we are trusting an archaeological source. And we understand that the academia is corrupt. We absolutely understand that the results of these studies are bought and paid for by whatever wealthy benefactor wants. Like, all of these things, yes.
Oh, I've seen this before. Okay.
But with that being said, this is a real petroglyph in Iran. And I could understand why somebody would look at this and see an ant. I could also look at this and see how somebody would see possibly a mantis-style being. Like, I could see both here.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't know if I would see that as absolute proof, but why not?
It's an interesting one to throw in, but I'm unfamiliar with, and again, I don't know if that area of Iran, if this glyph predates, Zoroastrianism in the region or whatever else. So that might be even from like a prehistoric Iranian culture. That might be something that has like deep ties to early Zoroastrianism. I don't know.
So if you see one of these babies Their physical appearance, you'll know. I mean, I feel like it would be obvious if you're looking at a mantis, but if you're curious, if your eyes are deceiving you, they probably aren't if you know this knowledge. And this is why we're here. We bring the information so that you're aware and ready.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say bring your gun out if you sleep with one by your bed, because these babies are interdimensional. Bullets probably only work in the physical dimension.
Probably. But we don't know that. So, I mean, conduct your own experiments at your own will. Continue.
I mean, look, I would say if you're scared, probably just get a shoe, and just fucking
A shoe.
like you would any other insect.
Yo, slide the chongle off and start beating the dog shit out of the mantis. That can only work well for you.
Honey, grab my slide. Let me fucking take care of this thing.
Get Abuela out there, dog. She'll get him going back home. Don't you worry about it.
Nah. So their height, it says they're typically 6 to 7 feet tall, though some reports claim individuals as tall as 9 feet tall, which, fuck that.
Fuck that.
They're slender, elongated torsos with long limbs and multiple joints at the neck, elbows, and fingers, giving them an unsettling flexibility. I would say that's unsettling.
A little bit.
They have distinctly, triangular heads with large slanted eyes ranging from deep brown to glossy black, sometimes reflecting faint inner light. Most witnesses describe dark brown exoskeletons, but shades of green, black, or even pale gray have been reported. This just reminds me of what was that movie?
Starship Trooper.
I always get Ants and A Bug's Life confused. Which
I
is the one with
understand
the
your reason.
grasshoppers?
That would be A Bug's Life, but they're both about ants in an ant pile. So, I get where you're coming from for sure.
Both classics.
Oh, dude. Ants, I didn't realize as a kid, how many stars are in that movie. Dude, the entire thing, it is a fucking who's who of an all-star cast. And I don't know how they all got these dudes together and chicks, J-Lo's in that bitch, and be like, you know what? Actually, we're going to film this movie, but your face ain't going to be in it. It's going to be about ants in an ant pile. It's going to be fucking wild. And everybody, Sylvester Stallone, Gene Hackman, fucking Christopher Walken, they're all just like,
R.I.P.
yeah. I got nothing but spare time on my hands. I'll totally do a movie about that. Bro, fucking what?
Oh, that's pretty cool, though.
Danny Glover was in. Anyway, sorry. Move on.
Oh, Danny Glover. You don't see him too much anymore. Is he dead?
No, he's a raging alcoholic, though.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah.
I love his work in Angels in the Outfield, personally.
Yeah, but a couple years back, he got drunk at a press conference and started saying a lot of wild shit. And a lot of people were like, hey, maybe he's a little out there. And now he just kind of fell off from Hollywood.
Oh.
Apparently he's super racist and shit. I don't know if that was real or if that was just drunk Danny. I don't fucking know.
Damn, Danny. Damn.
I don't know.
So anyhow, getting back to the mantises, clothing. Interesting. It says oh, that's right.
They wear clothes?
Yeah, so contactees frequently note flowing robes in muted or jewel-toned colors, perhaps indicating rank or function, while others describe beings entirely unclothed yet regal in posture. That's why people see them as the top dogs, because they wear
Interesting.
not a cape. What's the word I'm thinking of? Harry Potter.
The robes.
Yeah, that's not the word I'm thinking of.
It's on wizard sleeve? Sleeve of wizard.
What a wizard wears. A cloak. That's a word I was looking for.
Oh, okay.
Very regal in that way. Their facial details. Some experiencers mention faint antenna or small horn-like protrusions near the brow, reinforcing the unmistakable mantid-like silhouette. Oh boy.
Wow.
Now, what's really crazy about these bad boys is their abilities. So some experiencers state the mantis aliens possess high-level telepathy that goes beyond simple thought transmission, allowing them to share complex images, concepts, and even multi-sensory impressions in a single instant. Witnesses often describe receiving entire scenarios or symbolic visions that feel more like direct downloads than ordinary communication. Reports also attribute advanced technological or energetic skills to these beings. Contactees describe mantids manipulating light or electromagnetic fields, operating craft silently or appearing and disappearing without visible machinery. A few accounts even claim that mantis beings can subtly alter human perception of time, creating the sense that minutes or hours pass in a compressed instant. I'm going to be real. I felt that in a psychedelic trip before.
Wow.
Like
But
there's this one time I was tripping really hard. This is actually one of the scary times. But I remember like getting this strange knowing that each moment of time that exists, like it's like there could be any gap in between any moment that an advanced being or ET or a god or something like that could literally like, you know how whenever you're editing a show, right? Like you can cut a place and then insert an entire movie in between your cuts, right?
Yeah.
And that's the feeling that I got, that there could be an entire life lived for you in a split second moment in between, you know, each half of your lives. That was like a weird thing that I got. It was so strange.
No, I agree, dude. Time works differently. Time works differently on that scale. And like I have suggested before, I believe that these extraterrestrials of whatever variety and whatever regard you want to call them, it is possible to me that they are using time, space, and time warping and wormholes and all of that like we would use the interstate. It's not that they live in that other dimension. It's that they're stepping through the fourth to be able to instantaneously jump 4 galaxies over in the matter of a split second, because time works differently for them on that scale when you're dealing with that level of physics. I don't know.
Well, and
it's possible.
The crazy thing is that it's all possible. Like everything that these beings and every other advanced being is able, any time that they're able to do any of these things, it's because the universe allows for such action, right?
Yeah.
Like, and the dimensionality of our universes or multiverse allows for such things. Because look, if it's impossible, then they wouldn't be able to do it. And I know that whatever, there's going to be a lot of people that probably don't even believe in dimensions. They don't believe in string theory or any of that kind of stuff. I get it. Look, it's a lot to take in, but I think that if it's possible, then surely an advanced civilization or group of beings have figured it out, right? If you're here long enough, if you can figure out how to stay here long enough, why wouldn't you be able to figure out literally the ins and outs of the universe? And I'll give you an example. Like, whenever we first started podcasting, I didn't have a guru to teach me how to edit and post and, cut and everything and, add music and all this other shit. Like that was all self-learned. And it was a process. Don't get me wrong. Like I definitely sucked at it. If you go back and listen to, episodes 1 through 100, our audio is absolute trash. Our video is probably even worse, right? But we had to learn along the way. And eventually we got to a point where, oh, wow, we can actually make our audio sound a lot better. We can make our video look a lot better. We can have props in the background that add to the artistic rendition that is our imagination and our minds, that whole thing. And so given enough time, you can figure out how to master things. And I think that you can use that on a macro scale. And why wouldn't there be, other beings, other intelligences out there that maybe aren't limited to the 80 to 100 years that humans are limited to, that maybe they found a way to literally live forever or thousands of years. Dude, imagine if you could live for 1,000 years. You know how much shit you would fucking learn? If you were, if you spent your life learning.
Well, that's the other thing too. Like if your brain is even capable of retaining this type of like knowledge for 1,000 years. But let's say that you are. I'll give you another example of this, dude. Germ theory. We know what germ theory is. We know to wash our hands. We know why a surgeon shouldn't be operating on a dude and then just shift over to another dude with the same bloody knife and just start operating on him. We have a very baseline knowledge of these things, but that only came about in the middle of the 1800s, give or take. Like the Civil War surgeons in the 1860s were still doing that. Like sterilizing something, even with some strong whiskey, wasn't like a common practice, right?
Oh, dude, people used to die of chlamydia. You know what I mean?
Oh, Al Capone died from syphilis.
Now there's like a couple of pills you can take and it's out of your system in a week. You know what I mean? It's like
facts. But my point is, though, like you're saying, over 1,000 years of trial and error and figuring it out, it just going off of the rates that humans are doing right now, what do you think if we even make it to 3026? But what kind of technology do you think they will be fucking around with as their everyday coming and going of life that to us seems out of the realm of possibility? Cut to, what did it look like in 1026 or 11 or I guess technically 1026 as opposed to now? This is mind-blowing shit.
Oh, we are aliens to the people of 1026.
Oh, 100%.
Like all the way. We look different. Our taints are smaller. There's like a lot of different shit going on there. And so I just imagine if you would be able to find out how to be able to live for longer. And to be honest, I think, and this is, an out there kind of idea, I think that within our lifetimes, they're going to figure out how to double, triple, or quadruple the lifespan.
I think that we will probably see, and I can't say to what level. I'm not going to say double it. I will say that our generation will probably have more centennials than ever before. Like right now, the baby boomers have the most, 100-year-olds that have ever lived are right now alive within written record. I should mention that. But I believe that our generation, when we get to there, we're going to have so many people living past 100 because all the shit that used to kill us, they are finding more cures for, more treatment options for. They're trying to extend the retirement age even further to keep us working for longer, and that's usually what kills a motherfucker. You got a dude that he's put in 55 years of his life to some company. He retires, big party, all this shit. He goes home. He'll be dead in 6 months because an object in motion will stay in motion unless acted on by another force. You go home and you get all lethargic. Your body's like, all right, time to call it quits. Like, it's a whole thing.
Dude, even farther beyond that, I think that we understand a lot more about the human psyche, way more now than we have, at least for the last couple 100 years.
For sure.
In such a way that, like, people are now starting to become a lot more accountable for their thoughts. They're starting to become a lot more accountable of meditating or praying more or things like this, because believe it or not, grief and guilt and shame and fear and all of these things will kill you faster than most other sicknesses. Like, that's just the truth of it.
Dude.
Like, how many people have you heard of, like, I'll give you a good example. Joe Paterno. I know a lot of people, they don't like to speak highly of him. Whatever. Famous Penn State football coach. Lived a fucking long time. He was the head coach for Penn State for like 40 or 50 years or something crazy. He died in his 80s. But what was crazy is that he was alive and kicking. I mean, people were really shocked to see that he was still able to coach a legit college football team for that long and deliver championships and remain prominent and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
All that shit comes out about Sandusky. They end up firing Joe Pa, and within months, he's dead.
Yep.
So you want to talk about, like, we need that thing to keep us alive. And whenever that thing that keeps us alive is taken away from us, and now we got to deal with the grief of losing it and not having it to keep us going and all that kind of stuff, that's shown that, like, you can literally die of sadness, bro. And like, that's, and so the mind in and of itself is something that I think will probably be the best way to extend life. Like, I just believe that, and trying to become accountable for your thoughts, trying to become accountable for the information flow that comes in. I think people are just now starting to get to understand why you absolutely should never watch a horror movie. Like, it is a fucking parasite whenever you watch these things. Like, it is crazy. And a lot of people are like, no, don't get me wrong, I grew up on horror movies. I fucking loved horror movies, all of them. I loved all the slasher movies. I loved all the horror movies, all that kind of shit. But I recently, dude, and I wanted to test this theory myself. My daughter has never seen any of the Paranormal Activity movies, right?
Oh, God, dude. Of all of the ones you would introduce her to, why not, like, Freddy Krueger, A classic, Mike Myers.
I always liked the Paranormal Activity movies. That and like Insidious were always my favorites. And
oh my God.
Just because I always thought that they were like the spookiest ones, and
For sure.
like realistic, at least to me anyway. So, dude, we watched all of them. Do you know there's like 7 or 8 of those fucking movies now?
Yeah, they just keep coming out with them.
We watched all of them, bro. Like, whenever I say that I had like this dark attachment to me after watching these movies, to where maybe I was never aware of it before, aware of its effects and connecting the dots and all this kind of stuff. But I had like this dark cloud over me for weeks after that. And I was like, why am I feeling like this? There's not a reason. Like, I couldn't think about what it was. And I was like, oh my God, they were right about the horror movies. That's exactly what it is. It's the only explanation that there is. And so,
Bro,
I think that
I told you the Paranormal Activity specifically. My demon came back to me after I saw the Paranormal Activity movie in the movie theaters. I told you that.
Oh, shit.
And I even knew it was fake. Paranormal Activity 1, Donna, Opie's wife from Sons of Anarchy, is the mom.
Yeah.
These are clearly actors. This is all fake. And like, I understand that 100%. But
Your subconscious mind don't know that.
bro, if you open doors, something is climbing through. This is a fact.
Dude, it's crazy. And so I think the more we become aware of the things that hinder us and maybe attach to us, and I don't mean like they're demonic attachments. Maybe they are. I don't know. But what is demonic? I think that's still in essence some kind of esoteric term. Like, because if they're able to travel, in time and, in different spaces, and they're transporting and all this kind of stuff, like, where do demons come from? The easy answer is hell, but like, how do they get here? Like, did we open up some kind of energetic portal that allowed for that flow of information to be able to be perceptive to our minds? Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. But my point is that I think that you have to be aware about what information and what kind of stuff you're putting yourself around, because it can be parasitic, and that shit can make you die like on a real level. Over
say
time,
it like this,
not
dude.
instantly, over time.
I mean, yes to both. It depends on the person. Everybody is different, right? But what I will say is that your brain is a computer. It's like an AI chat bot, if you will, a brand new one. All the things. Whatever you put into it is what it is going to expel. Whatever you put in, you're going to get out. This is the way that works. If you're putting in positivity and love and kindness, you will exude these things. But if you're putting in horrible shit, not just horror movies or serial killer documentaries or whatever the thing is, even mainstream media news cycles. If you're watching nothing but Fox News or just CNN News 24/7, what you're putting in is only bad, frantic, stressful information. That's going to be what comes out of you. That's the way this works.
You got to cut it off at the fucking heel, dude, because the slightest thing, and there's microcosms and macrocosms to this whole situation, but like the slightest thing of like, you wake up and you get ready for work in the morning and you get in your car and somebody cuts you off and you're not even fully awake. So you're not really even fully aware that your response, it may have a trickle down domino effect for the rest of your day. Right. So somebody cuts you off, mother F, I'm going to get you, and all this kind of shit. Right. That is and I know that this might sound like a woo-woo term. That is a frequency that you are taking on that you ever notice, like, usually if something bad happens to a person and they're not like aware that there is this domino effect, it will have a domino effect throughout the rest of the day. And you'll be like, oh my God, it's been one thing after another. My day has sucked the entire day. But maybe that's just because, hey, dude, you set it off. You're the one that turned the radio dial to that frequency, and you're wondering why you're only listening to fucking, gospel music on 89.1 or whatever. It's like, all of these things, I think that eventually it's going to get out of the woo-woo term and into the more understanding scientific term, so that everybody can start to become a little bit more aware of their thoughts. But anyway, I digress. I'm not trying to get too woo-woo.
No, I think there's a lot of scientific evidence to say that that's at least a direction that certain experts are going. Absolutely.
Yes. Well, look, time flies when you're having fun, and it's been good over here, my good brother. We've been going over 3 hours now. But,
we have been.
It was a fun one, dude.
For all the cult members that remember you, or any of the newer ones that may have never heard you and I shoot an episode together, Jonathan is on his own journey right now, leading and just pushing forward with the Meta Mystics podcast. Jonathan, give yourself the shameless plug, brother. Where can the cult members find all of this information?
Well, look, I know a lot of the good cult members who are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and stuff like that. You know that my shows on the Cult of Conspiracy come out on Mondays and Fridays, but that's actually not all I do. I actually have my own podcast in which I'm releasing 6, 7, 8 episodes a week over there. And if you like this kind of esoteric, deeper into all of the mysteries, all of the esotericism, you want to get into spirituality, philosophy, all of the different things. I talk to psychics, I talk to witches, magicians, fucking satanic, like sacrificers of the sort. I mean, and it's not because I'm interested in learning how to do it. It's because I'm interested in learning the process and how it all works. I believe that there is a foundational truth to all of these things, and we can learn to look at all of them through a lens, and that's what I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to learn my own way rather than just, and nothing against people that just believe or blindly believe in the thing that they were taught whenever they were growing up. I didn't have that whenever I was growing up. So it's not to say that my parents did wrong or my parents did right. It's just my circumstance. So I'm trying to feel my way through life, kind of like that old blind man with a stick, and just trying to poke around and try and find some stable footing. And I believe that I'm doing that, exactly that, over on the Meta Mystics podcast. So you'll be able to find me not only on Spotify and Apple, but we're also posting shows over to YouTube now, including Patreon. And Patreon's obviously the big one. So if you go over there, you'll listen to all the shows completely commercial free. You'll get the shows days in advance, weeks in advance of YouTube, and probably about a week-ish in advance of Spotify and Apple. So if you want to be able to, and you can join the community. We also have a live show every Wednesday night. You want to be able to join that. Several different tiers over on Patreon. And it's always a good time. I always try and bring an amazing guest every Wednesday night. So whether it be a psychic or a magician or a witch or a wizard or somebody who has had an abduction experience, what have you, it's all encompassing. It's all the weird. And that's what we like to do. We don't just get weird. We stay weird. So go and check us out. We're also on TikTok and Instagram. You can check out the YouTube reels as well. Dude, slide into my DMs. Maybe you got a story. Maybe you've learned something along the way that you need people to know about. I accept just about everybody and all their stories, and I never come at you in some kind of combative way. I've had Christians on the show. I've had Jews on the show. I've had Muslims on the show. I don't care what your beliefs are. I just want to know what your experiences are. That's all that matters to me. There were podcasts that I listened to growing up that I really admired, like Art Bell. Right? Like that guy, he was like, yo, you've been abducted. You're in a spaceship right now. He would never be combative and be like, oh, you're full of shit. No, he wants to hear the story. And that's what I'm here for. So if you're into that kind of stuff, come over and check out Meta fucking Mystics.
Abso-fucking-lutely. Go check them out, good cult members. Before we wrap, I should also say that if you would like to get your own Bigfoot breath, go to the link in the description below to flavorsoftheforest.com. Use the promo code CULT at checkout, CULT, for 15% off your order. All orders over $30 is free shipping to your door in the continental U.S. Look, I genuinely use this product probably, aside from breakfast, and honestly, it depends on what I'm eating for breakfast, every meal that I eat, I prefer the spicy Bigfoot breath. And yes, we are working on the Cajun line. It is happening. I have, he sent a couple of trial bottles. I've got them out to some family members right now. They're trying it on some food. We're going to dial in this flavor profile for the Cajun line of Bigfoot breath. Not sure what we're going to call it yet, but it's going to be a blast. It's going to be amazing.
That stuff is fire. I love that stuff. It is so good. He sent us a bunch of different, it was like 4 different flavors, right?
Yeah.
Dude, fire.
Absolutely. And so we have more coming out. And he's got like an extra spicy one he's kind of fucking around with. The man is an absolute scientist up in his lab where he be not dry aging, Jesus Christ, freeze drying all of these natural ingredients, grinding them up and giving you an all natural product. Go check them out. Link in the description below. But Jonathan, I got to tell you, man, I appreciate you coming on this episode. It was fun. It's been forever since you've been on the Cult and Graces with your presence. And I know that, like, you know, you'll jump on some lives every now and then, but Tuesday nights have gotten so busy for you these days. I mean, I completely understand. So I think the Cult members will appreciate this episode 100%. And just to see where we are at, you know, because, dude, there have been so many people that acted like I like made a power move against you or some wild shit. And it's like, dude, we released an entire episode about this. But like, okay.
By the way, I'm the one that initiated the process of wanting to, you know, go more into metamystics. It was no pushing out.
I've told everybody this, but there's still people that will, like, they haven't listened to the show for a while. They'll come back and be like, man, where's Jonathan at? This show sucks now. But it's like, well, you know, hey, he's over at Meta. If you want to, like, get down on that, like, go check it out for sure.
Look, you ain't got to believe what I believe. I'd just be getting weird and questioning everything, literally everything. There's nothing that I will not question. I question my own existence. What are we doing here? That's the point of it, you know?
Yeah.
So, and yeah, people do the same thing with Sean, because Sean was my co-host for the vast majority of Metamystics. And, you know, I mean, look, people, they evolve. They go their own way eventually. There's a fork in the road. And Sean wanted to be able to pursue his love and passion for tattooing, which he is really good at. He's given me several, so I think that he definitely should. I'm happy that he's gone that route. Look, I think that we should all be chasing the thing that we want to do the most. Because if you are miserable with what you do, then your life's going to be miserable. Your relationships are going to be miserable. It's the shitty way to live. You may as well find something that you love to do.
Absolutely. 100%. Jonathan, once again, brother, thank you so much for coming on the show. Hopefully we have you on sooner rather than later, just to come in and bend our minds and open the third eyes as you are one to do. So again, brother, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
But good cult members, like Jonathan said, and like you've heard me say a million times, the best way you could support the show for free would be to please hit the 5 stars, hit the shares, the like, subscribe, comments, leave a post, leave a review, and share it with your friends and family. Share us everywhere. Here's the deal. The more activity the algorithm sees across all of our listening platforms, the more we get promoted, the more potential listeners who could then become potential cult members like the rest of you. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, like he said, also go check out Metamystics Jonathan's show and give him the same love and respect over there with the 5-star reviews and the positivity in the comments. Come check out the Cajun Night, also available on YouTube, and come join each of us with our individual Patreon lives we host every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central. Links to those are in the description as well. And we thank you for everybody who's already gone and done so. With all of this being said, this was another beautiful episode of the Cult of Conspiracy. And I am the Cajun Knight. And there's one very important, extremely vital piece of information I need you to learn just as soon as humanly possible. Open up that third eye.